there, everybody. How are you doing today? We're going to be doing something a little bit different. That's going to be a reaction video today to Team Bull podcast. Now, Jdun has been on YouTube for quite a while as a day trader, doing more options trading, which I myself am not familiar with at all. But he's been doing this channel for a while, and Team Bull podcast has been something about 2-3 months old. So it's some fresh new thing, but I absolutely love the podcast. I love listening to it, love listening to like normal people, normal traders' lives and journeys to how they became like really mega successful stock traders. So very interesting stuff here. Now, we're going to be doing a few different formats for this video. The first format is going to be the longest video. It's going to be this raw reaction video. Now, the second format we're going to be doing is a little bit shorter. So maybe, 15 to 30 minute segments where I take, highlights and actually mash up like, the best parts of this reaction video. And then the third thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be posting a bunch of YouTube shorts of the reaction content. And the reason I'm doing that is we're a somewhat new YouTube channel on here. We just hit 400 subscribers. Woo, thank you so much, everybody. We're a somewhat new YouTube channel, and I want to experiment with different formats and see what you out there, the viewer, love to see most of all. Do you like to see the raw, uncut reaction video? Do you like to see a little bit shorter? Do you like to just see a little 30 to 60 second short of the reaction content? So let me know in the comments what kind of content you are most agreeable to, and I'm going to be posting all 3 different types of content just so we can get a feel of what everyone likes best on this channel, and then we'll proceed from there. But I did want to start doing a little bit of reaction content. Now, myself, I've been a day trader for about 6 months now. I'm not yet a profitable trader, which means that I'm still struggling, I'm not losing a ton of money. I'm not losing everything. I'm still staying even. I have up days, but I have down days too. But I'm basically just trading for the experience, right? Some would say, as Jdun would say, start with a paper trading account. Well, I did a little bit of that, and I'm still paper trading quite a bit on this YouTube channel, but I'm also trading with real money as well, and I'm in my first 6 months. So this will be an interesting video because Jdun has years of experience, and I don't even know who this other guest is, what kind of experience he has, but it's bound to be a delightful little podcast. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Okay, here we are, and I've got a little DIY mic rig, but I wanted the mic to be a little bit closer. So as I said, Jdun is an absolute legend. Team Bull Trading, 80,000 subs, 204 videos, and this is the video that we're going to be watching today. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so before we start, the trader made $10 million in 2 years. Wow. I wonder how much capital he's trading with, because it makes a difference. I mean, I follow quite a few people on YouTube that trade with 500,000. What's he trading with to make 10 mil in 2 years? That's crazy.
What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to the Team Bull podcast. I am so excited for today's episode with you guys as we bring on a very special individual. He has made nearly $10 million in trading profit in the last 2 years, 9.4 million to be exact, and there is so much to learn from him. He is a full-time trader, a family man, teacher, entrepreneur, and overall an extremely smart individual with so much to learn from. In today's episode, we have a value-packed start to finish with topics such as how he made over $1 million in one single day and how he did it.
I gotta pause this real quick. You can tell that Jdun is, in fact, actually a successful day trader because this dude is jacked, right? Means he's trading, making his profits, and then he's hitting the gym. He's got time to go to the gym because he's a successful day trader. Just one thing that I wanted to mention over here. I'm a little scrawnier because I'm not so successful yet.
The indicators he uses, doesn't use, how he works a full-time job and still makes this kind of money, and so much other valuable stuff. Now, the mission of the Team Bull podcast and this whole channel is simple. Bring on the best traders, the best entrepreneurs, and the best, most valuable people for you to learn with, make money from, and overall learn how to level up your life with. And I am so excited for this episode with you guys.
Thanks,
so make
Jdun.
sure if you guys want more free content, you want to see the best traders, entrepreneurs, and above, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button below.
I'm hitting
Tap
it.
in.
I'm
and
hitting
let's
the
all
sub.
introduce our friend
I'm
Andrew to the
subscribing.
show. Welcome in.
Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks so much for having me, dude.
Thank you so much for coming, bro. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, man, we've been planning this for a while, so I'm glad to be sitting here and with Team Bull, baby.
Hey, Stock Market Wolf times Team Bull to the moon.
Hey, baby, that's how it goes.
So we have a lot to talk about today.
A
You know,
ton.
obviously, I covered a little bit in the last minute or so,
Yeah.
but I want to start us off before we get into the $1 million days and $1 million years, the
$1
big
million
losses,
days?
Yeah.
how you trade, all that good stuff. I want to start off simple.
Okay.
You know, I always like to tell people, like, you know, I want our guests to get to know you,
Yep.
to understand before, you know, the huge days, before the crazy success. Like, where did Andrew come from? And, you know, what's your story? Tell us about you.
All right, real quick. I'll try to get through this quick. So about me to start, where a lot of people know is I was a single dad at the age of 19. So that's really where I think in life we all have a pivot point that either makes or breaks you. And this was my pivot point. In high school, I played football and I had dreams of going to university, not to play football, but just to go. Right. And instead of going on to university like my friends, instead I was changing diapers. You know, and, you know, I graduate and here I am changing diapers. And at that moment, I was like, okay, I need to figure something out. And I was working at the mall. I was working at Champs Foot Locker, and I was making $7.25 an hour, working 20 hours every 2 weeks. So like peanuts, bro.
Wow.
And
Wow.
peanuts,
Wow.
dude. 20 hours every 2 weeks.
20 hours every
not
10 hours
week.
a
Not
week.
even a full-time job.
This guy
At
was
$7.25, man. That
was
was my first minimum wage at Popeyes back in
really,
the day.
dude.
my first minimum wage was $11.25. Yeah, that was absolutely crazy. I mean, you're thinking like, oh, can I buy this soda at the convenience store? Well, that accounts for 20 minutes of work. So do I really want to buy that soda or not? Thinking about it like that, $11.25 an hour, but to make $7.25 an hour, wow.
Yep.
It's wild. It's like that's where everyone starts. You know, it's like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy.
It's wild. You
Where
know?
everyone
So
starts.
$7.25. I'm going to a JC now instead of university. So I was going to a local junior college, and I was studying to. What's funny is to be a nurse, and so. But if through nursing, I was like, I don't want to settle for nursing. I want to be like a doctor or surgeon, right? So I got into bio, and all while raising Tay. So the day that where
Wow.
it really
This
started
guy's
to
a hard-
pivot for
working
me
hard already.
was I get fired from my job because I had to go and take a test, and this person that had the time off was like, "Oh, I can't cover for you." I come to find out she's at a party and stuff. So I messaged her and I'm like, "You effing blah blah blah," you know. So I was I went all in, right? And so I got fired, right? That's easy fire, right? So I get fired, and on the day that I get fired, my mom calls me and is like, "Hey, I need you to pick up diapers for Tay, who is my oldest son now. He's 13." And so I go to Babies R Us, which there was still a Babies R Us at the time, and I go to buy these, just a little pack of diapers, and my car doesn't go through. And there's a line of people behind me. Here I am, this, you know, teen dad, single teen dad, and I have a line of people behind me, all adults, you know, and I'm just like, I feel like a loser. And I go home, my mom was like, "Where's the diapers?" And I'm like, "My car didn't go through." She's like, "Well, good thing you got a job." And I was like, "Well, I just got fired." And
Wow.
at that moment was one of the lowest moments I've ever had in my life, because I've always been raised, especially with my dad, who was always around, and my mom, you know, they've always supported. But the thing that my dad always preached to me was, you know, anybody can have a kid, but it takes a man to raise one. And here I am trying to be a man, and I can't just buy diapers for my son, you know, and I'm the one accountable for it, you know. So it's like, it was one of those things that was so hard. So that weekend, I've always been in books. I'm like a big time book nerd, dude. Like Tai Lopez to the max, you know, when it comes to that, dude. Like
Knowledge, baby.
knowledge, dude. Knowledge is power, dude. And I had him take me to Barnes and Noble, and I was just trying to find any book that can help me. And it was like the heavens, the light from the fucking heavens, dude, just shown up on fucking Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
That book, amazing. I knew nothing about personal finance or anything, you know, grew up super broke. Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki just changed my life when I read it. Seriously, you learn the fundamentals, the base fundamentals of everything that you need to know to be successful in how to manage assets, how to manage liabilities. what a great book. I agree. This is one of my favorite books.
Here I am, a poor dad, and the book literally says Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I'm like, oh, let me read it. And the first chapter and
That's
the
awesome.
first heading of
That's
the thing
amazing.
blew my mind. Like, I never heard this concept before, and it was the rich don't work for money. They have money work for them. And it was just like, what? You know, and as I started to read, I learned about 3 key things: investing, real estate, and business. Well, I didn't have money for real estate.
That's an interesting concept to me too, because I would work so hard as a teenager and I'd never be able to save any money. I worked full time, $11.25 an hour, and I still like had no concept of how to save money. I didn't invest my money or anything. So after every paycheck, you know, the bank account would be drained, and I didn't even realize. I felt this kind of anger inside of, wow, well, I work full time. I work all the time for my money, and yet, you know, month in and month out, I still don't have any type of money left over, which is super unsettling and takes you a few years going through that hard knocks route of figuring out how to deal with your own money. But that's true. You know, make your money work for you. So the more that you accumulate, the more that you can make. So the trader made 10 million. That's why I asked in the beginning of the video, well, how much money is he starting with, right? If he's starting with $1,000, it's impossible to make $10 million in 2 years. If maybe he's trading with $1 million, then yeah, I could see him 10xing as a day trader in 2 years, right? It's all the money. That's the money that you're starting with, the baseline, the funds that you're using to accelerate your capital growth.
I didn't really know what to do for business, but investing was I felt like it could be a parallel and something achievable because I was also into video games and computers. So I was like, oh, maybe I could just figure this out. I couldn't afford the book. So me, my dad, and Tay, who's a baby, we stay in Barnes & Noble until I finish the book.
Wow.
We stay there till I finish the book.
Wow.
And afterwards, every other weekend, I realized afterwards I could go to like a local library and get books, or I could just go to Barnes & Noble and just read. And so every weekend after, I would go and get books related to trading, investing, money management, budget, how to properly budget. And along that, I found, and it's kind of before Gary, I don't know if Gary Vee made it popular during this time, but again, this is back in 2009 or 10 at this point. And so I started doing flipping. So once I got fired, I went to another foot store and we would get discounts, and Jordans were the popular thing back then. And I mean, they're still kind of popular now. I just don't follow it anymore. But we would get retail $180, but then we would get a 30% discount on top. And I would flip that on eBay sometimes for $500, $600 profit, bro.
Bro, that, like, so I was never like big into flipping back in the day,
Wow.
but I was
For a
big
pair
into
of
Jordans
shoes?
and like, dude, you went to those drops at like midnight and
That's
like,
crazy.
there were
Lines.
wars.
Wars,
And people
dude.
were getting in fights over those shoes.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, because there was only like 12 that would ever sell. Like people were getting in fights.
That's
Like,
crazy. So you were really in it. Like you were making money doing that.
I was making some pretty good coin doing it, dude, because we got the hookup as employees. And so then I started doing bigger stuff. Like I was like, okay, I started doing eBay flipping. So I would go and find like furniture or find big items that just needed some little TLC that can be flipped. So I started at making about $500 to $1,000 a week, which was good. I'm 19, 20. It was
great.
pays for
Wow.
diapers. It's paying for stuff.
That's
great.
awesome.
And that's how I started putting into the nest egg. And so I'm reading all these books by Warren Buffett, the essays of Warren Buffett and the Intelligent Investor, and
Amazing.
you know, how to make money in the market. And so I'm putting my money at this time, the age of 19 till about the age of 24, all into the market for investing. I'm not even trading at this point. And I'll fast forward 2014, I graduate from CalU. I go from JC to California Lutheran University, which is a private school, and I got a scholarship there. However, it only covered a little bit. And I had to do essentially 3 years of 4 years left of school in 3 years because I had to take out student loans. But the student loans, I was capped out on a certain max that I could take, which wouldn't cover the last year. And I couldn't afford that last year. So I had every single semester, I had a full load, which a full load is considered 18 units.
Wow.
I was taking sometimes 20, 22. My senior year of college, I was taking 24.
Per semester?
Per semester.
That
I had
is-
to get...
Dude, this is what is crazy. You can really bust through college. 4-year degree, nonsense. You can stack on those credits. Now, when I went to college, I felt kind of the same way. I mean, I went to school for filmmaking. I was very interested in it. I spent, 14 hours a day doing filmmaking stuff. I wanted to get through school as fast as possible because I knew, okay, if I'm planning a career initially, I was planning a career as a filmmaker, I want to get there and start making movies. I don't want to be stuck in school. Okay, I want to make my contacts from school. I want to learn what I need to learn from school, but I want to get out of there as soon as possible. So first semester rolls in, they say, okay, normal course load is 18 credits, which is 3 classes. And I said, well, no, I don't want to do just 3 classes. 3, 6, that's like 10 hours a week you're spending on school. I want to do 4 classes. So I did, what is that? 24 credits. So I did 24 credits the first, and they said, no. That's too much. No, it wasn't too much. Manageable. Wanted to get out there fast. Long story short, I wanted to get out of school as fast as I could. So I just loaded on credits, right? 18 credits is the minimum that you need to graduate in 4 years. I had one semester where I was taking 29 credits. And I was pretty actually bummed because there was another, one of my friends, another student that was taking 31 credits. So we already had a friendly competition about that. I really wanted to beat her, but I only got it up to 29 credits, and I did that for one semester. But most semesters I did, 24, 26 credits instead of the normal 18. So I totally get it. You got to get out of there fast, right?
I had to get acceptance from the dean in order to do it.
That's crazy, dude.
Dude, I barely graduated undergrad with a C.
That's insane.
Yeah, you had to go to all your teachers and the dean and all these administrators and say, no, I can take 28 credits. I can do it. And they say, we really don't advise that. We really don't advise you doing that. But hey, if you're committed full time to actually doing college, and you don't have a life, you don't have anything else, you don't have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, you can do it. So
insane.
And at that point, I felt low because I was like, here was my opportunity, but dude, it was so hard. Like I would get up in the morning at 6 a.m. to get to school, and I'll be there from 7 to 3. And on days that I had lab, I wouldn't come home till 10, which was like on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I would get off at 3, come home, spend a little
and
bit
this
of time
guy's
with
a
Tay, then
father.
go to work from 5 to 10.
I can't imagine
come
doing
home
that
and
as a
study
father.
to like midnight, and then read these personal help books from trading and whatever to like 1 or 2. And that was my life all of undergrad.
That's crazy.
Like 13-hour days every single day. And there were days where I cried. There was days I wanted to give it, especially like days that I failed on a test or like had to retake a class. And like, again, I barely graduated a C. And I'm like thinking I'm going to be a doctor. All of my friends are A+ students. You know, they don't have kids. They don't have work. So their full focus is school. And I'm like, I'm not going to amount to anything.
That is the thing. I mean, I graduated with like a B-, I believe. I forget what my GPA is exactly. But yeah, I mean, you can't be a straight A student if you're trying to do the full load. That's maybe a caveat I should have said at the beginning of my spiel about me taking a ton of credits. Yeah, I mean, you can get it fast. My grandfather always said, he's in construction, he always said, you can get it done fast, you can get it done cheap, or you can get it done quality. You know, you got to pick one, maybe 2 of those. So if you're really rushing through anything, are you really going to spend the most time, have the most quality? Especially if you also have to work or be a father. It's very hard for you to be a straight A student in school because you just don't have the dedication to spend the time to dedicate to all of those studies.
And at that point, again, I felt super low. But we would get these recruits that would come to the college campus. And I would always, whenever they came, I always came suited and booted with whatever I could afford. And I would talk to them and have a face to show the name. And they got to know a little bit about my story, like, you know, single dad, I'm working, I'm taking care of Tay, and I'm coming to this university. So it put me at a different level just in itself than just the regular kid just coming in and getting an A. They don't have any life experience. And I didn't realize that at the time. And so when I graduate,
Apologies,
I
I'm
went to
still
apply to
sick a
Amgen,
little
which
bit,
is a biotech company.
but I can
And
turn off the
that's
mic
where
when
I
cough.
shifted. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be a doctor.
Amgen,
I don't
publicly
have
traded.
the grades to get into med school. I would have to honestly kill the MCAT in order to even get looked at. So the possibilities of that is really small. Biotech seemed the next parallel, and a teacher had helped me get into that, and I was like, okay, let me try this. So I went to interview at Amgen. I bombed both interviews. I only had 2. I bombed them both. And so I go back to my high school, which was St. Bonaventure High, and I played football there. We were state champions for 2 years there. That's where I learned like the championship mindset. I went back to St. Bonaventure, and I'm like, hey, do you guys have any jobs? Like, I'll work in the office and like greet people. Like, I just need a job. Because at this point, my mom was like, all right, you graduated school. My mom and dad, like, you graduated school. You need to start like providing now.
You need a career.
You need a career, right? And I'm like, all right, I'll try teaching. Like, I've always loved teaching other people stuff. And so I was like, let me try teaching. So I got a chemistry part-time job. There was a teacher that left on maternity leave. And on the first day of school, I get a call back from Amgen. Hey, you got hired. And so on the first day of school,
from a bad
I
interview.
go at the end of school to the principal's office, who I know very well because I went to that high school. I go and I'm like, hey, dude, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. And he thought I was joking. I was like, no, I'm serious. I got the call from Amgen. And so needless to say, they were pissed. But it opened the doors. And that's all I needed. My starting salary working at Amgen, I worked in the lab first. So like a scientist type thing. And my starting salary was like $60K. I've never made that type of money.
That's
My
pretty
parents
good.
never made that type of money.
Starting
My dad was
right out of
construction.
school.
He got injured before I was born.
That's amazing.
And he's had 7 neck surgeries. My mom was a grocery checker. She wanted to do bio, and she gave up her dream to raise us. She provided for us, going. I never saw her a lot on holidays because those are the big days like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and stuff like that. So she sacrificed for us to get our education. So I was like, okay, I feel good. I got at Amgen. And now, I've never had to survive off of $60K. So all of that money from 2014 to 2015 went into biotech stocks. A lot of like startup biotechs and stuff, but I understood the science. Like, I may have got bad grades because I just like didn't do a test or like homework or late at science, but I then invested, and by 2016 I make my first mil.
Wow. From 2014 to 2016, investing in biotech stocks made $1 million from just a $60,000 a year salary. I mean, that's what's crazy. And people will always tell you, people mention to me all these biotech stocks that I got to look into, I got to buy. And I say, I don't know first thing about biotech. I don't know the science. This guy, he actually knew the science. He went to undergrad for it. He knew the science. He knew what companies were feasible. Biotech's really hard, but it's very lucrative because, there could be a company that's waiting on preclinical trials. And, if they get approval or disapproval, that could make or tank the stock. So super amazing that this guy got in like that, because biotech is a really unique opportunity, but only if you have the education. I mean, I wouldn't dare leaping into biotech stocks with my current knowledge set on the industry.
Wow. By 2016.
By 2016,
millionaire.
I made my first mil. There was some biotechs that went from like 2 to 200, 5 to 50,
Dude,
like insane.
just
One of my biggest, it wasn't a biotech, but it was OLED. OLED I talked about and preached for years. It went from 20 bucks. It's the thing. It's the tech that makes your Samsung phones bend and all this stuff.
Wow.
And at the time, it was really popular. It went from 20 to 200 bucks.
Wow. No way.
And you're talking about thousands of dollars in there, right?
Damn.
And
dude.
so it just rocketed.
That's crazy.
And so and this is also too Prime Facebook, Prime Apple, when they're like super cheap. I still have Apple since 2009.
That's crazy.
Facebook since 2009.
And that's when you first got into investing, correct?
And into investing.
Yeah.
And it was just dumping every extra that I had, I put it all into the market. I never really put money into savings accounts. It all went right into the market.
Smart man.
All into the market, dude.
That's important to know. And investing is just an essential activity that you have to do. Before we talk about day trading, all of this crazy stuff, you got to start investing. I did take one finance class in college, and the professor had this super rich friend that he would always talk about. He said, this guy's super rich. He's worth like 10 mil. And, he's a professor too. And all he did was invest in every single company to come out of Seattle. Costco, Amazon, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on. every single company that would come out of Seattle, the guy would just put a little bit of money into. And, over time, over 5, 10, 15 years, these companies become huge. Of course, all companies can't be winners, but when you diversify and invest for the long run, you're sure to come out ahead as an investor. So I super love this guy's story here.
But I had read all those books where I knew savings is not the way to go,
No.
So once I made my
Savings is
first
not.
meal, I had read this book by Grant Cardone called the 10X Rule. And part of that is you're only 10 multiples away from 1,000 to make $1 million. But you're also only 10x away from leveling up and being able to do what you take you a year within a shorter time, right? So I'm like, how can I level up and make $1 million faster, right? Which is,
You know what? I think like people, I always send people like Grant Cardone quotes and books and like videos of Grant Cardone. I just think like some really great ideas come from the guy. But they always say, oh, the guy's a scam, guy's a fraud. You got to be open and open-minded. If you haven't read a lot of these finance books, if you haven't heard good things about Grant Cardone or Robert Kiyosaki or Napoleon Hill, just give it a try because the ideas are really essential. It's almost it's almost you got to think of it like, okay, I'm reading this book for the ideas. Okay, what if I don't like the person? I'm still just trying to accumulate the ideas, and this guy Grant Cardone does have some really amazing ideas. 10X Rule is a really cool book.
what everyone would want to think, right? Like if I make 1,000, how can I make this quicker now?
Of course.
Right. So I started reading and I was like, you know what, let me try trading. And I tried trading. I take a portion of my nest egg and I put 25K in, blow it all within like 2 months.
First account blew it.
First account blew it. It actually almost was 2 accounts that I blew. The second account went all the way down to 5K.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now while we're on the topic of first accounts, did you, when you first started that 25K, did you have any wins
Yes.
before blowing that? Like, did you like
Yes.
go up and then down, or did you just go
Yes.
straight down?
No, it was like this roller coaster thing where like there's days that
Just
it made
so
like 10K,
leveraged up.
days where there was
Yeah.
5K, and that was like the spark for me. Where it's like, I remember I had one trade, I didn't even know what I was doing, right? And I had taken this course by Tim Sykes, right? And like
yeah.
pennies, so I don't know what the
Tim
fuck I'm
Sykes.
doing yet, right? And I'm just like, okay, and I put this in, and it goes from like $1 to $3. Like, just right away. And I'm just like, oh, this is so cool. And I'm like super hyped. It was like,
I'm so good at this.
yeah,
It's so
I'm good.
easy.
It's so easy,
Yeah.
And I didn't have no risk management. I didn't have no strategy. I had nothing. And I blow it. Like within months, it's gone. And I was just like, okay, I'm not going to do that again. But
Wow. I mean, that's the thing, right? I think all the time back, man, how was I trading a month ago with the knowledge that I didn't have? Every day I learned so much about trading, and I think back, man, how did I even have the confidence to trade like that? That was super reckless. And of course, trading in penny stocks and, low liquidity stocks and, options, people's first foray into stock trading and, investing is through sometimes trading options, trading puts, trading calls, super risky stuff. And it could just wipe you out, right? It's like constantly leveling up at the poker table. You could have 10 good wins in a row, but since you're, at that peak every time with your account, then the 11th time just shatters you and breaks your account.
there was something in me that was, bro, I got to continue to do this because I saw the potential where it's like I can make 5Gs in an hour.
And it opens up that door.
And it
Wow.
opens up that door when I was thinking
Wow.
like, man, it takes me like a month and a half to make 5Gs at work.
Yeah, exactly put. I mean, if you think about it on an hourly basis, what does the average American employee make? $25 an hour, $50,000 a year. So when I'm in there, when I'm trading, and I've got $125 profit on the table for the little trade that I'm doing, that's $125 that I probably made in 5 minutes. So if you put it in that perspective, you can definitely make a lot more trading. And it definitely puts it, at least for me, in the perspective of, okay, I should not be as greedy here because I'm extraordinarily lucky to have been given this opportunity.
I could make this in an hour. So I was like, I need to figure this
Yeah.
out. So I started going
Crazy.
into other programs and trying to learn from other people. And it wasn't until my neighbor, who was an attorney back in the day, he had two buddies that worked on Wall Street way back when Wall Street was like Wall Street. And they're like these New Yorkers, dude, like hardcore dudes. And they're telling me about, you know, how the system works. And I learned a lot about risk management from them and understanding math. They're like, dude, you're a smart guy. Like, just stick to what you know. Like, it all comes down to numbers. If you understand numbers, you can understand this game. And I started playing with what a lot of people call the 2-to-1 ratio. And I started finding my edge and started working out. By the end of 2017, I had it figured out. And
Took you about 2 years.
it took me about 2 years.
Ish,
It took
give or
me about
take.
2 years-ish
Okay.
from the time I started day trading to then really become consistent with it.
Okay.
And once I then I started helping people.
I'll just stop it right here. That's the thing. It takes time, right? Not only, you can't expect for every trade to go your way. Absolutely. Of course, it's not going to. That's with the 2-to-1 he's talking about. You got to have the risk management. So you've got to have a 2 times ratio to the upside for every downside risk that you're willing to take. If you're willing to risk $100, then you should probably take a profit at $200 for each trade that you're making. Something along the lines of that. And he says 2 years. I've been trying to trade for 6 months and I'm not profitable yet. You know, at the beginning, you could think, oh, I've been trading for 2 weeks. I'm not profitable yet. Put it like this. You know, a doctor goes to school for like 12 years to become a doctor. Now, I'm not doing anything nearly as important as being a doctor, but anything you want to go to school for, being, a lawyer, an accountant, you got to go to school for it. You got to put in that 4-year degree. So why should day trading be anything less? Seriously, you think day one, you could just waltz in there and become a great day trader and start making money? No, you got to put the education in, and just think of it in time scale of other careers, like being an accountant, like being a doctor, like being in any professional field that requires a college degree, or even something like a mechanic, which requires you to go to school and at least learn from trade school. You've got to put in the time to learn, right? You're not going to be profitable day one. I think that's a great lesson that this guy's talking about right here.
And I helped this friend of mine. She was a single mom with 3 kids working multiple jobs. And I just taught her about investing first. And I taught her about trading afterwards. Like, hey, you can use trading
It's
as
powerful.
a tool for investing and blah, blah, blah.
Investing.
Long story short, today she's a CPA. She makes really good money. And she still trades. And she averages about $500 to $1,000. And she
Dude.
does it all from home.
That's so awesome.
She spends all her time with her
Wow.
kids. And it's like, when I was helping her, my wife,
A day.
who
500 to
my wife
1,000
came
a
in the
day.
picture
That's
when my son was 6
great.
months, and she's been my biggest motivation. She came in the picture and she's like, "Andrew, you should make this a business." And I'm like, I don't know. I don't really know. And at the same time that she's telling me this, I'm trying to figure out something to do a business, because I still go back and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad every year. It's like my #1 book. I read it to my kids. I read it to my 5-year-old now. And the other thing,
gotta
I was
read
like,
that
okay, I
again,
got the
actually.
investing side down.
It's been a while.
I need to get the real estate and business now. And so with the business, I saw this ad like a lot of people did back in the day. Ty Lopez again, talking about here in my garage. And
Knowledge.
Lamborghini in the back, right?
Oh yeah, everyone remembers
I
those.
love Ty.
Dude, it was like the classic video, right? And I'm
Knowledge.
like, I want a Lambo. That's like my mindset at the time, right? And so
Yeah.
he's talking about social media marketing.
McLaren
But he's
for
marketing
me.
for other businesses.
But
right?
we're getting
that's
off
the spiel.
subject.
So I take his course. I'm signing up for courses, right? And my thing is
Me
like
too. Tons.
tons, right? And I'm like, there's no harm. Like, what am I going to lose out of it? Just time, right? I'm like, at least
Courses are awesome. Look, $500, $1,000 course, might seem like, wow, that's crazy, $500,000. But in these courses that are packaged, there's a lot of education. Basically, you can condense that time scale of when you want to go learn something new. So if you want to go learn marketing, you could go learn marketing from Ty Lopez for, I don't know what his price is, but let's say $1,000, right? And it's worth it. It's worth it if you're going to put that knowledge in action. doesn't necessarily mean that you can rely on the guy that's doing the course or girl that's doing the course to make you rich. But that's not what it's about. It's about getting the knowledge. And if you know how to source it, then $1,000, $500, totally worth it for a course like that. I agree with them.
It's getting educated on something, right? And so I go and then I try to start doing marketing for like other businesses. I remember my first gig was a furniture store. Total douche who was the owner. And like just didn't work out, dude. And like I was like, what the hell? Like this is like a waste of time. Like I just spent a month trying to market for you and like you didn't like any of my ideas. Like it's not gonna go. But I remember during one of these social media marketing events, there was a guy who was the marketer for Timothy Sykes. And I was in Timothy's program. And I'm like, dude, I know trading. I'm starting to know trading and I'm getting my edge. Why don't I just start my own thing? And my wife was like, dude, why don't you just do your own thing? Like, she's like, you understand the Facebook, you understand the Instagram, you understand, this. TikTok wasn't even a thing yet. It was just like Facebook and IG. And IG was very young still. And so I'm like, okay, let's try it. And so I just start posting my gains and start posting just daily content for years. And it went from 0 followers to like, I think it's like 90K right now.
92.6, I think.
92.6K.
I looked at your profile before you came, so I knew it'd probably come up.
Yeah, 92.6K and went from 0 members to over 9,500 members worldwide.
Anyway, also want to mention, thank you, everyone. We just hit 420 subscribers on the channel today. So I just wanted to mention that while they're talking about subscriber count. Thanks. Wow.
It's been a total journey.
And what I just like, I didn't know this before we just talked about 2 seconds ago, but we started out the same way. And it's like, it just shows that like, you had a care for people before you made any money off teaching. Like for example, when I first started too, did the exact same thing. I was making like 500 to $1,000 a day, like nothing crazy, but decent money. Established myself before teaching anyone.
That's pretty freaking good money. That's pretty good money.
Before thinking about selling any program or any of that, I was teaching a few of my close friends. I was like, dude, this is fucking awesome. Like, I'm chilling at home, I'm hustling on the side, and I'm making $500 a day trading. Like, this is awesome. Like, you guys should learn. So I start teaching them, and only after that, just like with you were teaching, your friend who was the girl who just needed some help. You were teaching her for free, just like helping her. You're like, you know what, I could help so many other people with this.
So many other people.
And we both got, I guess, like born into our life of social media now from a good intention of helping people, which I think I didn't know that before a few seconds ago. So that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, man.
That's so badass.
That's what it's all been about. And the trading aspect has just grown as well. Like I think 2019 was my first $1 million year. 2020 was 2.5. 2021, I can't remember. 2022, which was last year, which was the 7.7.
No,
that's crazy.
This year up
no
1.75.
way, dude.
Like it's
7.5.
A lot of that
already. Let me check my watch. It's March, April, May. Yeah, it's May 17th. Oh my gosh, $7.5 million by the month of May. This dude is gonna cap 10 million easy in this 1 year. This is insane. I mean, this guy's really playing it crazy. This reminds me of like, what's that movie? It's not coming to me. Never mind. Forget the reference.
that still goes into the investment account.
That's crazy.
And it just compounds, dude.
When you showed me that you made 7.7 million in 2022, I was like, holy fuck. Like, this is insane. And even like this year, like 1.7 million or 1.67 million, excuse me. Like,
holy
I'm sitting
shit.
here like, damn, like obviously I'm extremely happy for you. Like, I don't compete with other traders, right? I see that and I'm like, that's badass. Like,
yeah,
I'm up right now like 615K, which like,
bro, dude, that's
I'm
so
happy
badass,
with.
bro. That's what a
Right?
surgeon makes. That's like a top
Right?
surgeon
Like,
makes, dude.
it's cool, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, but it's just, it's motivating.
Oh, no
for me.
way, dude.
Oh,
And it's motivating, I'm
100%,
sure, for everyone seeing this, like that it's possible.
No way.
It is possible, bro.
And with hearing those numbers, I want to backtrack a little bit.
These numbers are
You
motivating.
had your first $1 million year in 2019.
Totally agree.
Yep.
What did you change from 16, 17 to 2019 to really scale and build that up? Like, what was the exact process that, people can learn from to like, okay, Andrew did this and that, like, maybe I can take something from that and do it myself.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't want to call it a gambler mindset because that's not what it is, but it's a calculated risk. And it's the same thing that I do with trading, but after I hit a certain nest egg, whether it's like 25K or 100K, as I was going through those years, my account was building and it was growing. So then I felt more confident to take a bigger trade where it's like, if I put in 10K on this trade and I lose it, it's going to suck, but I have a huge nest egg now where like that 10K is really not going to hurt me. But if I hit off this 10K and
I think that's amazing. And, life is kind of like stair steps. You want to, be in building phase and then securing phase, building phase and then securing phase. So, if you get $1,000 and you've never had $1,000 in your life before, secure that $1,000. Put it away in safe investments, put it away into VTI, and then start playing again. Play a little bit. Now, when you get to 10K, okay, secure that 10K, pull it out, put it into something good. Then you can start building from there. So every time that you're playing, you're leveling up, you're doing the stair stepping, right? You've got 1K, 10K, 25K, 50K, and above, right? But you're secure. So it's not like you're leveling up at the casino every time where every time you play, you could lose all of your chips. No, you want to secure some of your wealth along the way as you go. And that's great advice. I've definitely benefited from that lesson. I definitely am very cautious in not trying to get burned in losing all of my chips, on one trade or one business idea or one whatever. That's good.
continue to follow my risk, I'm gonna make money. And where it really came into play was when I was using the 2-to-1 ratio. And I'll give you guys fucking free game. I don't care. 2-to-1 ratio here. The old way that I used to do it when I was trading small caps, and I was trading pennies for the first part of my career. I didn't start doing options until recent.
I was about to say, I think we should add in that during this 2019, 2020, et cetera, you didn't trade any options until August of 2022?
Yeah, until
like just not even a year.
Not even a year.
You just picked it up and just started crushing it.
Dude, it's crazy.
Which is crazy.
It was a direct parallel in correlation to what I do now, which I'll give you all the game. So I was using a 2-to-1 ratio, and what I used to do was put in 10K and aim, and these are penny stocks, right? So $1 stock, for simple math, only needs to go to $1.10 to make 10%, right? And if it drops to 95 cents, that's a 5% stop. So there's my 2-to-1, right? 10% profit target, 5% stop. What I was doing is as soon as it hits that PT, I was selling everything. That's what I was doing in the beginning, early years. Just because I realized
automate it.
All it is, we could do all our risk management and everything, but either way, we're 50-50. We're either going to be right or wrong on the trade.
Yep.
Right? It's 50-50. We put ourselves in a better advantage, and that's what comes with the, quote, high probability setup.
That's amazing. I agree with that. Having just more automating it, right? There's two ways to look at it. You can set your stop for -5% and plus 10%. You can do that, and that's automated, right? I always think in the back of my mind, okay, but am I following the pattern, the trajectory of the stock? Well, you can play it either way. You can try to play the trajectory of the stock or just play what your goal targets are. I think you can do either in trading. I'm going to have to try out this automated trading system a little bit better, make sure that have the trajectory be following the course of action, but follow that 2-to-1 and say, hey, I hit my profit target for this trade. I'm getting out of here. Instead of letting it linger, sometimes I let the trades linger a little bit too long and it ends up not being good for me in the long run. It ends up going back to nothing and then I stop out with no loss or no win or anything like that. So this would be good for me to try. I'm excited.
Trade where you have an edge where this setup has a high hit rate, but either way, it's still 50-50. This trade, you could have your high hit rate and it could go negative on you, right away. So it comes down to 50-50 where there is this study that came from just flipping a coin. And the coin flip was if we play heads or tails and I have you do heads and I do tails, and let's say we only do it 4 times and you hit heads every single time. Well, on those, if I put 2,500 into each, I would lose 10K right away. That would be my whole, I would be done, right? Where the law of averages states, the more that you and I play heads or tails, the more wins, the amount of wins you have, the amount of wins I have is going to be equal. That comes back to the probability, right? So then understanding, okay, I have a 50-50 shot. That's my probability. What ratio do I need where I can be wrong? And what I understood is good traders are good at being wrong. And that's where the 2-to-1 comes in. So going back to the math for you guys that are listening, if I put in 10K and I make a 10%, that's $1,000, right? If I lose 5% of that, that's negative 500. Well, if I take 10 trades total and I only win 4 times, that's 4 Gs. The 6 that I lost, I only lost 500 each. That's negative 3,000. 4 out of 10 on test score is an F. However, in trading, I'm still up a G. So I got good at being wrong. And so that was what I was doing up until 2019. And I would like have $100,000 years, 200,000 or whatever. And 2019 is where it changed, where I then took it a little bit further.
That's amazing.
And instead of selling everything at 10%, because I would realize there were days where I would sell and the stock would run up to 100%.
Leave a lot on the table.
Leave a lot on the table. And so I was like, you know what? I'm not going to leave anything on the table anymore. And so what I started to do was after it hit 10%, I would only sell a quarter.
That's what I was talking about. Leaving a lot on the table. That's what I was talking about.
And then I would let the rest ride, which is what I still do. And as soon as after I sell that quarter, I let the rest ride and I use my indicators. In be specific, I use the 9 and 20 to stay in. And as long as it rides.
Or set a trailing stop. Or set, a stop. When it gets to amount, you see that it's at this threshold, set a stop loss, right? So that you're secure in getting that 10%, in getting that bag. What I like to do is, at least whenever I enter a trade, I set a stop for what I bought in at. So that at least, if it goes back down, at least I'm not going in the red at all. And this is a strategy for you if you're able to do unlimited day trades. But if you're under the pattern day trader rule, which is 25K, I guess you got to play it a little bit slower than that because you might waste a day trade doing that. But that is a good strategy for not losing anything or securing profits or doing a trailing stop where I say, okay, well, if it dips 4 cents below the peak, the trailing stop will inch up. And then if it flash crashes down 4 cents, then you're secured and it sells it right there. You leave 4 cents on the table, literally, but no one can time the top. And that's just a good strategy to actually cash in and take profits.
The 9 and 20 and stays above the 9 and 20. However long it stays up, I let my stock ride. And there are days when there have been, especially in the penny world, where there have been stocks that have went from $1 to 50, or my biggest one was
9 and 20. What is that? I'm interjecting this little program to look up the 9 and 20. 9 and 20. I'm interjecting this little thing to look up actually what that 9 and 20 is. The 9 and 20. I've never heard of that. Maybe he's referring to the moving average. Let's actually just keep watching and see what he says.
Which was last year in the beginning, which was HKD, went from $2 to $2,500, all of which stayed above the 9 and 20. And so I let it ride. And then the ratio now gets super high because now instead of just settling for a 2-to-1, you're talking about like a...
This dude is just perfectly timing these freaking pump and dumps. I mean, super dangerous. A super dangerous pump and dump, very low liquidity stock. Some big whale is manipulating this stock, basically pumping it up and then just going to sell at the peak and dump it all. So very risky, very risky. I've not really tried much of this, but interesting.
10-to-1, a 20-to-1, a 40-to-1. And that's really how that started to scale. But it wasn't until I had enough nest egg to be like, if I use 10K and I lose 500 or 1,000 off of this,
this guy's like crazy.
I love that mindset. And there's something I want to touch on in just a little bit. It sounds like really
risky what this guy's doing.
You've made millions trading with indicators, the 9, the 20, the 850, whatever. I've made millions trading, and I don't use hardly any indicators. Kind of like rake, too. No indicators. That's a debate I want to have here in a little bit.
Yeah,
make sure you guys stick around for that. I wanted to first touch on that. I think that's such an important concept. That like everyone, you read a trading book, and it's going to say, oh, you want 2-to-1 profit to loss ratio, or you want 3-to-1 profit to loss ratio, which is correct. Yes, you want that big, risk to reward ratio, or reward to risk ratio, excuse me. But to do that right? You can't just, you can't leave the whole position running to 3-1
Right,
or 4-1.
right.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
like if it reverses on you and it goes red,
It goes red.
you're screwed.
You're screwed.
But you'd say you trim it, 10, 15%, whatever it is. You let the rest run. You use your entry point as, or around there.
That's
and,
my final stop.
As your final stop or like your stop loss. And
Yeah.
if
Not
you get
just
really
do
good at that, if you
one
get really good
buy,
at
one
losing,
sell,
the
but to
best
trim.
loser wins in trading. That's like
Always.
that's my favorite.
That's my
phrase.
favorite line, dude.
Best
Yeah.
loser wins.
Yeah, 100%. And it's all math. If you can understand the math, your trading just goes through the roof.
And that's why, like, do not to get off topic, but like, we both, do a
Very
lot of live
interesting
trading,
perspective.
right? And so whenever, obviously we're not perfect. We both have losses sometimes. Like,
Yep.
it drives me bananas, dude. Like when I have a new trader, like obviously I want to help everyone learn. So do you.
Yep.
Like when I see someone that's like, oh my gosh, I just blew my account on that loss. I'm like,
Dude, it
Dude,
frustrates
how-
the
I'm
fuck
like-
out of
I'm
me.
like-
There's no way.
I'm like, dude, how? Like, how did a 40-cent move on SPY blow your account?
Yeah.
Please explain to me. And it's all risk management. It's all numbers. Like you have to accept that you're gonna lose sometimes. Like if you're watching this and you want to trade, you are going to lose a lot of mother effing trades.
A lot
It's
of
gonna
times.
happen.
A lot.
But if you become a good loser, like it sounds like you became a better and better loser, which is why your wins got to be more and more and more, more and more millions, etc. Like
Jdun.
that's like that.
Thank
That's
you.
the key.
I appreciate it,
the
Jdun. Thank
total
you.
key, dude. And it's like it blows my mind when people go in and they're using like 50 to 60% of their account, and I'm like, why? For me, I said this is the rule that I use. I call it 1033. So what the 1033 rule is, and this is just my philosophy, is per trade you should never risk more than 1 to 3% of your account, your total account. So going back to simple math, if I had a $100,000 account, 1 to 3% is $1,000 to $3,000. So on any one trade off of a $100,000 account, I should lose no more than $3K. So then that's when I see people are like, I lost $3K today. I'm like, well, do you have a $100,000 account? Like, no, well, you took way too big of a loss. Way too big of a loss. How big is your account? 5 Gs. I'm
No
like,
more.
oh, bro. So 1 to 3%. And then that's the 3%. But 10% is using then 10,000 of that for a single trade. So out of 100K,
Dude,
you
cut
use
that
10K as your full size trade.
Taking notes here.
10K is my full size trade, and I allow of that 10K a max of a 30% loss, which would be $3,000. That $3,000, guess what, is only
Use only
3%
10%.
of my $100,000 account. So if I lost it, am I going to lose sleep over it? No, bro. I'm going to make that back tomorrow.
I like that, and it allows you to live on, right? Live to trade another day.
It lets you live to trade another day. And the other thing that it does, which a lot of people struggle with, is their emotion. Where like if you understand and you could the more you could put yourself at ease trading, which is what I realized throughout the years, the more that you can take stress off of the table, the less that you'll mess up, And so if I understand, hey, I'm only going to lose maybe a max of 3%, and I can even cut it shorter. If I just keep it there, I know I'm going to be in here for the long term, So that's my it's all risk management, dude.
And I use the $100,000 example a lot too. My max, I think I actually like yours a little more. I might steal that from you. But I usually say like absolute max, like on your worst tilt day ever, like $5,000. Like,
Yeah, that 5% is the max on the day.
Yes, 5% absolute max.
100%.
And I think too, this is a good bleed into our next topic of small accounts. I want to talk about like with a small account, right? If you're trading with $1,000 account,
Dude, it's rough.
it's really hard.
It's really hard.
And so like having, a 5% max loss of $1,000 account a day is
it's really hard.
is like nothing.
Yeah.
So like how you manage risk with $100,000, not that trading it's easier with more money. It doesn't get easier.
No, it doesn't.
You have to have a lot of skill.
Yeah.
Otherwise you will blow $100,000
Very fast.
But with a small account, you have to be much more precise with your entries and much more strict with your risk management. But you also have to be able to let your winners run even longer.
Yep.
Because like you're trading with such small size, if you ever want to grow that, like you have to have some of those bigger wins.
Jdun and Andrew, I appreciate it because myself, and I'm talking to you if you're watching the video or just reflecting for the viewers of this channel. Yeah, I mean, I've got probably 25K I've got 25K that I'm trading with, and that's what I keep it at. Maybe 26, 27, just so that I can stay above the pattern day trader rule, but I'm not really comfortable trading with anymore. But yeah, I trade on the day on a given day, probably with $10,000 or $15,000. Of course, you guys were following my shorts with Icon Enterprises a few weeks ago, and I had probably about $12,000 short position. But no, not at all following the 10% rule, right? If I were following the 10% rule, then 2,500 would be the max that I'd be trading with on a given day. And if I were to make a 10% trade on a ballin penny stock or something like that, that'd be $250. What I've been trading with, QQQ, SQQQ, TQQQ, more of ETFs following the market. They're a lot less volatile. I think I've felt safe, having that same, risk management style, but I totally, this is really good for me to listen to because I totally trade with a lot more money than I would be comfortable with. I mean, if I had, I don't have 100 G's, but if I had $100,000, yeah, I would still only be trading with $25,000, to leave some leeway so that I'm not trading with my whole life savings, essentially. But this is very good. So he makes a valid point, though. I mean, it's very psychologically difficult for me to say, oh, I'm just going to trade with $2,500 or $3,000 today. I mean, because those profits are peanuts, basically, from what I like to do, where I like to make maybe a 2% profit on the day. That's peanuts. All right, back to it.
Yeah, you have to. It depends on how fast you're trying to grow it, right? So, like, a lot of traders, they're trying to grow it within, like, the first week. And I'm like, dude.
It takes time.
Like, it takes, like, my advice for, like, beginners under 2 years is, like, stop focusing on the dollar amount and focus on setting quality setups and focus on the percent win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because then from there, it's just a matter of scalability.
Compound
like,
interest,
if I'm
buddy.
consistently making 30%, well, at some point, if I put in 10K and make 30%, that's 3 racks. 3 racks a day for 252 trading days is 750, bro.
Is this man telling me he's making 30% a day? I think that's a little crazy. I'm going to continue listening to a story, of course. But yeah, as I said, for my trading where I've been practicing, I try to make 1 to 2% per day, which if you think about that, I mean, that's insane because, the normal S&P 500 returns, 8% on average from the lifetime of the S&P 500. So that's what the market returns is 8% per year. Now I try to return 1% per day when I try to take my profits. 30%. Wow. Let me listen to this.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money, So it's like focus on the percentage. But I think for small accounts, it's really hard. But you can still scale. It's just the dollar amount, like I said, is not going to seem like it's there. Because, again, if we just use $1,000, right? $1,000, if I still do that 1033, that means out of 1,000, I'm only using 100. And that's going to be really hard.
That's like
to do,
really
but it's still possible where you put $100 in and you make 20%. Well, that's $20. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that's only trade one. That's only the first trade. What if you take a second or third trade that day? That's $60 a day. Let's just round that up to $100 a day for 252 trading days, 25K.
And you've lived this. Like we talked before this podcast. We were like, both of us do not like small account challenges.
I hate it.
Because they give traders the wrong interpretation. Like, oh, I'm just going to go, buy, Andrew's Discord or Jdun's Discord. And, I'm just follow his trades and I'm going to turn 1,000 into, $1 million. And like, that's what people use as a marketing ploy. Right. And it never fucking works out for anyone.
Never works out
ever.
Way, dude.
So
I'm against it.
So that on the record, we're both not fans of small account challenges and how gurus use them. No. However, we also talked about how, I started with like a $5,000 account and, recently in the last year, you did for fun or whatever, to teach some people, you did $1,000 account just to,
just to do it,
just to work with it.
Yeah.
You turned that $1,000 into 18,000.
Yeah. In 3 weeks.
Which in 3 weeks.
In 3 weeks.
Okay. That's even more insane. You didn't tell me how long it took. You just told me 18,000. I was like, that's dope. Like, that's badass.
Yeah. 1,000 into 18,000 in 3 weeks.
So what did you do? Did you use your same rules for that? Like, how did you deploy that $1,000?
Yeah.
To make that money?
It was the exact same thing, except it must have been a good month. But, and this is now no longer trading small caps, right? This is options now talk.
This is on options.
This is all options now. there's no way I could take 1,000 into
Wow.
18,000 with small caps. It's absolutely, especially in today's market.
Maybe
there's no way.
another like TOP like we saw
Yeah,
today.
dude, yeah, like
$6 to 250 or
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah.
HKD, but like that never happens.
It's very rare, you know. But with the options, I was trading both in the money and out of the money. Like that's my thing. I trade both at the same time.
Do you?
Yeah, both at the same time. And I'll get into that too. But when I was doing the 1,000, I just split it up 500, 500. And I would look for, again, making sure I manage my risk and everything. But there were days where for the options, at least what I've seen is about $1 move in the money is about 30%. $1 move out of the money, and I only trade ODTE. So I only trade ODTE, SPY. That's
Zero
it.
day
ODTE.
expiration.
ODTE,
Nice.
SPY every day.
Nice.
That's my only.
That's my
why I
main
do
thing
it.
too. That
Yeah.
and maybe at most like next day.
Yeah, you know.
Usually it's ODTE.
And so on ODTE, $1 out of the money can.
For my viewers here, an option, and I don't know much about options, I've never traded options, but an option gives you the option to purchase something in the future. Or a put gives you an option to sell something in the future, right? It's like basically buying long and buying short. There are option contracts in stock investing. There are option contracts in real estate, believe it or not. So 0 day to expiration, ODTE, word on the block is that is very, very, very risky and very volatile because you're playing an option on the day that it expires, which is pretty crazy for me to hear. But I'm very interested in what Andrew has to say about his options trading.
Be 50 to 100%. So that same 500 now just became 500, and that's only on one trade. So I was taking 2 trades a day when I was doing the small cap challenge. And the cool thing, and this is one of the big benefits that I found with trading options that I didn't have in the small cap world because I only use Thinkorswim, is when you're trading small caps, when you're trying to short, a lot of times you can't because it's hard to borrow.
Thinkorswim has like no small
it has
caps
none.
on
You
there.
have to use like a different
Right.
brokerage.
They didn't even have tops today. I
Yeah.
looked at it.
Yeah.
I tried to short 10 shares just to see if they had shares
can't.
available today, and they weren't. They're like
Yeah.
it was restricted for a non-marginable. Yeah, didn't have them.
Didn't have them. So then, but with options, once I found I could ride the upside and the downside and still use my strategy, I'm like, oh, this is cake. So those using only 1,000, a lot of those days I was making 500 to 1,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it within 3 weeks it was 18K.
And
But I left 650K on the table because had I used my own money, how I normally do, normally for a full size position, I'm using anywhere between 20 to 40K on one trade. And if I'm gonna half size into it, and I'll only half size if it's like not my A+ setup is what I call it.
Wow.
Then I'll only use maybe 10 to 20. So
It's crazy how similar we trade, dude.
yeah, and
It's
so when I'm
it's
like
crazy.
when I'm looking at it, I'm like the opportunity that I left, it was 650 racks, bro. I was like, why'd I do this?
That's wild. And that's why I've never understood like the people who consistently do small account challenges. Like in reality, like, they're like, oh, like, you know, just to show you, but like, you know, it's to sell memberships and it's to, you know, it's a marketing ploy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, if you've got the money, if you've got a few million, supposedly, why do you do these small account challenges where you're like, all I'm going to start with $1,000? Just like Andrew left more than $500,000 on the table. You know, he could just be actually trading like a normal guy with his normal account size and, you know, not be dealing with a small account challenge. I mean, I guess at a certain point, you don't care. Money doesn't matter anymore. So you're like, all right, hey, I just want to do it for I just want to do it for fun. But yeah, you're leaving a ton of money on the table. I agree with Jdun there.
Like if you're really making, you know, 10, 20, 30K a day, like, you know, both of us have done for a long time, like,
Yeah.
and you even more, like, you're not going to sit there and trade $1,000 account.
No, there's really no purpose. So what I do during my lives and when I teach people is while I'm trading, I will just work out the math and say it for them. Like, so I use Zoom, and on Zoom there's an annotate button. And so I'll draw like the numbers on there. Like, hey, if you had a 10K account, this is how much you would use. This is where you would get in. This is the math. This is what you would potentially be looking. So I leave it like that to make it more realistic because not the average Joe doesn't have $100,000 account. You know, the average Joe has like a 5K account or a 10K account. So I break the numbers down for them.
Really interesting that
there's
this guy
no
uses
purpose
Zoom.
for me, and I don't mean to sound selfish, but there's no purpose for me to not make my money.
I mean, it's real.
Yeah.
It's not.
You know,
it's just like it's not the whole marketing
it's
shit
not,
you see on social media.
You know, like I tell people, and I don't mean to sound like an a-hole here, but like I don't need them. You know, like I know how to make money on the market on my own terms, and I've done it for years where I actually make money doing this. You know, so like the memberships and like the business side of things, it's a nice. I'm always about multiple streams of income, so it's a nice to have. But at the end of the day, if you took it all away, I'm still gonna make my money, dude. It's like,
see, and that's why, like, for one, that's why you're sitting here today. Is like people like us, like, you know, we'll shout each other out, like, you know, we talk to each other because we actually make money trading.
yeah,
The only people who sit there and hate or like don't interact with any other traders is the ones who only make money off memberships.
Yeah.
And, you know, see everyone else's competition, and it's like, huh, you must not be really
you must
making.
not be really making money, dude.
I know, it's crazy. So on the topic of money and big numbers, 2 questions. I want to talk about your biggest day ever,
Okay.
over $1 million, which is absolutely fucking bonkers, might I add. And I want to talk about your biggest loss ever.
Okay.
Whichever
Okay.
one you want to start on,
Excited.
Okay.
you got the stage.
All right,
Let's hear
we'll go.
this.
We'll go with biggest win first because I want to really talk about the loss because I think that's really important for people.
Yeah,
The biggest win that I ever had was $1.67 million in one day.
What? What? Sorry if I blew the mic out. Let me pull it away. What? $1.67 million in a day? Dude, that's like freaking Wolf of Wall Street numbers right there. No way. That's crazy. I just got to react to that. 1.6. Can you imagine? Can you imagine making $1.67 million in one day? Can you imagine that? Just think about it. What would you do if you made 1.67 million in a day? Wow. Crazy, 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 crazy. Okay, let's keep listening.
And how I made $1.67 million in one day is completely funny because for the longest time in my career, I have always been a long bias trader, especially in the small cap world. But on this win, it was all puts. And it went from 420, I was trading SPY, ODTE.
No.
ODT.
That's crazy.
And the crazier thing is I was educated. I still don't understand Greeks, bro. Like
That's crazy.
I don't focus on time decay. I don't focus on theta. You could ask me what theta represents in options. I can't tell you. I couldn't tell you. You know, I'm dead serious. I can't tell you.
That's crazy.
I just look at the technicals and I take my trade based off of the technicals. Am I at support? Am I at resistance? And if I'm at resistance and it drops below my 9 and 20, I'm in puts. If I'm at support and it goes above my 9 and 20, I'm in calls. And as long as it stays above there, I ride that whole thing out. It's that simple.
Wow.
Like that is my strategy, people. If I'm at a support level that I have identified that is a support level today, and it has shown, and the candles, which I use the 5-minute chart, is above the 9 EMA and 20, I will buy calls. And I will buy both in the money and out of the money calls, and I will ride those things and take profit at 15 or 20% and let the rest ride, and I let it ride as long as it stays above the 9 and 20. And as soon as it breaks, my rule of thumb is if it breaks my indicators or it comes back to my premium, I'm out. That's it. So
Wow.
on this day that I made 1.67 mil, it started at 420. We were at a resistance, which was 420, and it went below the 9 and 20. So I also used the MACD, which is
oh my gosh.
which-
he uses the MACD?
dude, which
You
is
use
so,
the MACD?
which is so funny.
Oh.
But I use everything in conjunction, which is one thing I think a
Uses
lot of
the
people
MACD.
get the misconception with
The joke there is the MACD is like one of the simplest indicators out there. So that was that's hilarious.
indicators is that, oh, I wait for the MACD cross, right? But if you look at it and you look at resistance along with those other indicators working in sync with each other, they work out. And so that went from 420 down to 405 from 6:30 in the morning till like 12:45. I rode the entire thing. I took profit at 15%, which was I put 40K into my out of the monies, 40K or 20K, or excuse me, 20K in my out of the monies, 40K in the monies. And by the time it went all the way down,
You held.
I sold a portion at 15%, and I held the entire rest of the way because it stayed below the 9 and 20 the whole time. Those out of the monies went over 13,000%.
That's crazy, dude.
I made $1.67
What the
million
hell, dude?
Off like 60K, basically.
off of 60K.
Andrew, this is amazing. Congratulations, and thanks for telling this story. This is crazy.
That is absolutely bonkers.
And I have a whole. It's all on my Instagram. It's like it's one of the posts on my Instagram. It's like right there in front of your face, billions of dollars, and there was no
I'm gonna check this. I
reason.
gotta
I'm a very patient person because I feel every single step of my life I've had to overcome obstacles, but I had to be patient to get to level up. And so when I'm trading, I'm just naturally patient because I'm just like I'm not focused on the reward. I'm focused on the process. And the process I have shown over time works for me, right? So stop focusing on the reward. The reward's going to come at the end. Just focus on the chart. So I don't trade my P&L. I trade the chart, right? And so I didn't even realize how much I was up until I looked,
That's crazy.
And so...
Oh, just look over there. Oh,
Yeah.
wait, there's 7 figures there.
Yeah, dude. And I was just like...
What a sight. I'd be like, am I dreaming?
Yeah, dude. Pinch me, dude. And so 1.67 mil. And it was funny because that was my second month of trading options.
Dude, that is
It was my
nuts.
second month of trading options, and I made 1.67 in
crazy.
one day. And
Man made
and it happened on puts, which is completely opposite of what I had done for years of going long.
This man made 1.7 mil without knowing what theta was.
Without knowing what theta was.
That is
and the
wild.
most wild
No
thing,
way.
which
No
I know
way.
now, which I haven't. So this week I made 490K.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
week?
Insane, right?
No,
The other
just
day
nothing
I
much.
made 260K yesterday.
263 or something?
Yeah, 263,000.
Yeah.
And I was
Wow.
looking at, so when I'd made that 1.67 mil, I had bought a premium at 0.04. That's the one that went 13,000% because it went from like 0.04 to like 250 because it was so far out of the money. I had bought $10 out of the money. It was 420 and I had the 405 or 410 puts out of the money. Like, who does that? Like, just bonkers.
Wolf does.
Wolf does, So like, I didn't know, I was just like, oh, I could just buy any out of the monies, without really realizing it. And so I looked at, man, what if I would have bought these puts the other day? And I was like, oh my gosh, I would have made a killing. But now because I'm more cautious of and understanding the risk involved, because I got bit, understanding the risk, I'm like, okay, I'm only going to be within about a $5 increment from whatever the price is.
Yep, that's right. I usually
Yeah.
do 2 to 3 spots out of the money.
Yeah, 2 to 3. Yeah, I'm usually about 5. But that brings me to my biggest loss. So my biggest loss in one day was 60K. And it started off negative 120K.
So you were down 6 figures at one point.
What? I would think his loss would be way worse. His biggest loss was 60 grand. Wow. I would think it'd be way higher. That's crazy. That's impressive.
6 figures.
Wow.
I feel like this guy's like bullshitting me. But he seems like such a great guy. Andrew seems so sweet and genuine. I don't think he's bullshitting me. I just think it's absolutely bonkers, the story this guy's telling right now.
Yeah, dude. And what makes that story worse is I was up $8,600 in 15 minutes.
So almost 10K in 15 minutes.
I was almost up 10K in 15 minutes.
Wow.
And I got greedy.
Yeah.
And I was
You
like,
can't get greedy.
let's see this go to 10. I'm not going to leave until it hits 10K.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just like, let's get this 10. And then it went from 8 to 5. And I'm like, let's fuck it. I'm let it go to 0, whatever. And
I'll
then
stop out at 0.
I'll stop out at 0, And then it went to 0. And I was like, oh, man, we've dropped quite a bit.
No.
It is bound to bounce back up.
I'm going to hold it, dude.
It's bound
I'm
to
gonna
bounce
hold
back
it.
up. So
Hey, what's one more? Come on, what's one more? Hit it. Hit me. What's one more? Come on, let's see. Hilarious.
it doesn't. And it goes like negative 5K. So now I'm pissed. And I'm like,
shit.
all right.
Tilt time.
Dude. Everything that I ever teach people not to do, I did.
You're human.
I'm
You're
human. I'm a human, dude. And so I go on full tilt, bro. And I remember so I had put in, from what I remember, it was like 30K for my first trade. And that's why I was up 8,600 within 15 minutes. When I was negative, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to get it back. I put 60K in.
Added more.
I added more. But I added double. I added 60K, right? And it goes more negative. And I'm like, next thing you know, that what was negative 5K is now negative 30. And I'm like, dude, what the hell? And I'm just like, I'm so frustrated because everything is right there. It's just like, it's like, oh, so I'm like, dude, what the hell? So on the next trade, I put even more in.
No.
Next thing you know, long story short, I'm down 120K. And
Mans is down a house.
yeah, I'm down a house, bro. A down payment on a house.
Down payment.
A house? Where the heck is Jdun living? Jdun, I live in Seattle. And that's right. That's a down pay on a house. Jdun, that's not a house. I don't know where you're living. Detroit. I'm just kidding. I love Detroit. I love you out there. Respect.
If you're in Nebraska, you might get a house. You're down a down payment in California.
Yeah. And
yeah,
I always have a thing too, like I treat trading as a business. And what I tell people the difference, and I'm not talking about teaching people, my mentality for trading. And with a business, there are two main components to a business: generate income and reduce waste. That's it. That's why you see businesses laying off people, right? They're reducing waste and they want to generate more revenue, right? That's the whole purpose and survival of a business.
Yep.
So when it comes to trading, what is our biggest waste? Time. So I want to make the most amount of money with the least amount of time. That's why I usually trade 15 minutes, or I'm usually done within an hour of trading per day. Like by the time 7:30 is done, I should be done.
You and I both, bro. The first hour, maybe
8:30 is pushing it.
2 hours
Yeah,
for you.
But that's
2 hours max.
2
You're
hours
gone.
max.
Me
I'm
too.
done. Yeah,
Me too.
I'm done. Unless it's like a runner already, and I'm like, I'm just gonna let this go.
Yeah.
But within 2 hours, if I haven't found a trade, I'm done. So this went completely against me because I'm trading all day and I'm negative, and I'm just like, oh my god. So it started to go in my favor, and long story short, I make some smart trades later, and I'm now down 60K, but started off $8,600 positive. And it had a lot to do, and I'm bringing this up because, a lot of mistakes happen when you go against your plan, you go against your strategy, and the most important part is the psychology. And what a lot of people, they talk about the fear and greed aspect a lot, but one of the biggest things to psychology is ego.
Ego's a killer in trading, man. We've all been victim to it.
Big killer.
You're like,
and here,
I got this.
And again, I'm human, and I'm not a very
just
flashy
cut it.
person, man. And I try to be as humble as possible. But at this day, I felt like I was right, and I was completely wrong. And my ego got in the way, and it put me in a bad spot. And then it all started from the premise of greed, of trying to hit 10K versus being happy with 8,600. Like, how many people make 8,600 in 15 minutes, bro? Like, aside from you and I and a couple other traders that I've seen, not a whole lot, right? Like, that's like what people make in a month, and sometimes not even, right? And so I'm like,
It's crazy.
I got totally greedy, and just like, it led to my biggest loss. But I've learned from that, and I teach people and I tell people about that it happens. It's real.
And the thing about like us is like we'll admit that we are human.
Yeah.
We can teach all the best things, but in reality, like we've both had those moments where like we went and tilt, like damn, like I fucked up real bad.
Yeah, dude.
But the key is, and why you succeeded after, is that you didn't keep doing that day in and day out. I see so many new traders that like they go through their bad day, the tilt day. Mm-hmm. Man, I screwed up today bad. I'm not gonna do it again. I make it back tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then you carry over your trades from yesterday into today.
That whole mentality.
Same thing happens over again.
It's just crazy, and it's afflicted me sometimes, to the point a few times where I thought, I'm done. I can't make it as a day trader. I cannot make it as a day trader. I've taken, 4 days in a row of me just losing a ton, and I'm done. But yeah, it is the mentality. You got to clear your system and clear it out and say, no, it's just a new day. I'm starting fresh. I don't care what happened yesterday. I don't care what happened last week. Yeah, I'm starting fresh. It's a new day.
It snowballs.
It's the worst thing, which is so funny too, because I have people that are like, you know, going back to the $1.67 million day.
Dude,
That same day I went to work,
crazy.
but then the following day,
went to work?
Hold on, rewind. You made 1.7 million in a day, and you went to work after.
dude, which is wild, right?
What?
Yeah, totally, right?
He went to
Were
work.
your coworkers just like, why?
Yeah,
Because I'm sitting here like, why? Like, what were your coworkers saying? Like, because they felt.
He told his coworkers, that's a crime, dude. That is a crime to trade and then go to work and then go to your coworkers and tell them about how, oh yeah, before this I made $1.67 million. I mean, come on, kind of keep it on the down low there. In my opinion, I think he should keep it a little quiet, not rub it in his coworker's face. I forget, what did he say he did again? Oh, he worked at a lab or an Amgen. I don't know if he's still at this story, but anyway, let's keep going.
Follow you on social media.
They follow
obviously.
me on social media.
They're like, oh,
I have
hey,
like
Andrew.
VPs that follow me, dude.
Didn't you just?
Yeah.
Is it today? Do you just make like 1.7 million?
Wow.
Yeah, and they're just like, "Why are you here, bro?" And I'm just like, "I'm here to do my job, bro."
It's
like,
fun.
you know.
It's fun.
It's just like
You work
I
for your
think,
passion,
you know. And it's
dude.
funny too, because when I was working at the mall, every time that I would leave the job, I would always say thank you to the manager, like, "Bro, thanks for scheduling me today." And I think what has always stayed
Wow.
with me is what it feels like not to eat. You know,
Feel
like that feeling, I never want to ever feel again. But I never forgot it. So like it puts me, you know, aside from that full tilt day, it puts me at a humble spot where it's like, I'm gonna show up to work, bro. Like I need, and my other thing is helping others, right?
Right.
Like I'm a very big person on trying to help others, and Amgen does a lot to help others. So I was like,
That's what I love. You can finally, like, this guy can finally be free to do what he wants to do, to live the life he wants to live. Look, if you were stock trading, you made all your money in an hour, what would you want to do the rest of the day? Just sit at home? Maybe you'd want a vacation, maybe you'd want to do something, but maybe you'd probably want to still be in your community. So I get it. Dude still has a job, just trading on the side, still has a job because, you know, at that point, it's like, you don't need the money. But what the heck are you going to do besides that? You need the community. So I totally get what the guy's saying.
I'm just gonna go to work. Like it keeps me busy too. Like what am I gonna do today? Like the kids are at school, the wife has something to do today. What am I gonna do? Sit here and watch TV? Like
Totally.
you know.
and speaking of that, we were going to talk about this at the end, but we're on the topic, so let's just
Get
knock
into
it out now. Like to this day, millions later, like you still work there.
I do.
Why?
I know, which is crazy. I get that question all the
Amazing.
time.
Why the hell are you still working if
Yeah.
you've made $10 million plus dollars trading?
I love that.
Yeah.
I
I'm
love
genuinely curious.
No, yeah. So it's
I
funny
love this
because
guy.
to put a curve on that, I did go to retire on January 2nd, and I'll talk about where this goes. But I look at Amgen, Fortune 500. I started in the lab, and I worked my way up through the corporate ladder.
Yeah.
And I ended up being a manager, and I was managing the quality assurance team, which overlooks like the labs and different stuff like that. And the reason I stayed is because of a big part of it is fulfillment. And my mission in
Got
life
it.
is to help others in any way possible. Like you could hit me up. I could be all the way back in California, and you could be like, "Hey, bro, I need help moving. I'm going to come and help you move." You know, I'll get into helping a friend out who just lost everything in a flood. And that's just the type of person I am. I was just raised that way, helping others. Because, you know, what I've always been taught is the money that you make, it doesn't get buried with you, bro. Like the houses don't get buried with you. Your Yeezy shoes don't get buried with you. The Rollies don't get buried with you.
I don't get buried with the Lambo.
Yeah, I know. We don't get buried with the Lambo. I want to get buried in the Lambo, right? Like it doesn't get buried. The only thing that stays though, like if you look at like ancient times, like the big like Achilles, right? What stays of you is your name and how people remember your name, right? Like that's always been a big thing. And so how for me, it's bigger than money. It's how people will speak of my name when I'm gone. Like I don't think I'll live on for generations. Like my name will live on for generations, but I at least want it to be something when somebody speaks of it, it's positive. and that, hey, you know what, Andrew helped change my life, or hey, Andrew helped did this. And it kind of comes full circle, because going back to that Amgen thing, I blew the interviews, and it wasn't until I was leaving the interview where the manager was asking me what I'm going to do for the weekend. I was asking her, she's like, oh, I'm going to take my son to soccer. And I was like, oh, I'm going to take my son to baseball. And she stopped mid-walk, and she's like, you have a son? I was like, yeah. She's like, why didn't you bring that up in the interview? And I was like, I don't want to use him as a crutch. And she's like, oh my God, you're doing it. And she totally took a chance on me. And that's all I ever needed, was somebody to give me an opportunity. So now it's kind of come full circle, where here I am in a manager spot, being able to do the exact same thing for another Andrew, and give somebody that spot where if they're smart with that money, they can go and fund a trading account. They could go and fund businesses. They can go and do stuff if they're smart with it. And there may be an Andrew that works at Amgen that all he needed was the manager to hire him.
That's
and so
awesome.
it's a full circle thing, dude.
Wow.
And, but now, you know, as the business has grown, as my trading has developed, as my, my theory is I use my degrees to get a high income job. I use the high income job to learn high income skills. I use those high income skills to start trading and investing real estate. And I use that money and leverage it to build me more money.
Amazing system that this guy has. I absolutely love that. Totally get it. Level up. Always look to learn more, and always look to level up in life. Genius.
To the point where I want to be a good enough trader where I don't have to trade anymore, which I don't have to anymore.
Me too.
Yeah, I do not have to trade anymore. I have millions of dollars being made every single year just on my investments. And so, like, I never even had to get up in the morning and do this.
We talked about this before. I want to keep going with this topic, but like, we were both like sitting here beforehand and just talking about what we were going to talk about, all of our subjects. And I was like, you know, we both agreed. I was like, we both want to bring up that like the goal of trading
Is to not
trade anymore.
Yeah.
Your goal of trading is not to trade, be Mr. Trade.
Yeah.
Your goal of trade, you're still working for your money at that point.
You're still working for your money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your goal of trading is to make money trading. We both love that. We're in the process, but then use that money
to make more.
To make more. So like I like to say, I learned it from my buddy CJ, is like, you know, make money, buy income.
Yes.
Make money, buy income.
Yeah.
You
buy
know?
time.
Buy time.
Yep. Buy time. And that's my thing. And that's why going back to it, where now all this investments and everything's working out, where I was like, dude, why am I even still at Amgen? So I did go in to retire. I went on January 2nd for the new year. And I was like, you know, I've given you guys 9 years of my life. And you guys, I wouldn't be Andrew Diaz stock market wolf without Amgen being a part of that puzzle, because of that income I was able to put into the market, right? And then it propelled everything else. And my hours work so well that I can trade in the morning and then go to my 9 to 5. So it worked. It's continued to work. So it's like, I'm always big on going back to Warren Buffett, multiple streams of income, right? Where it's like, hey, if I'm still young and capable, why not? Right? It's another source where it alleviated stress off of trading, because a lot of people, they get a 9 to 5 and they just want to quit the 9 to 5 and do trading. But now you're adding more stress to try to make something that's so volatile work for you, where you're limiting your ability to grow your net worth. And so I just kept the 9 to 5. So I've never really taken a dollar out of my trading account.
He didn't need to trade.
It's all gone into long-term
he
investments.
didn't need to have
aside from
the
me
income
buying a
from
$900,000 house in Southern California and other investment properties, nothing has come out. It's all stayed in and compounded.
Wow,
so because of that
amazing.
9 to 5, it's allowed me to utilize my money to continue to grow. It's like I didn't need my trading to pay for groceries. So that's a totally different thing in itself too. But now I'm at the point I don't need the 9 to 5. So I went in to quit, and I'm like, dude, I'm at a level I just want to be with my kids. They're like, what would it take you to stay? I was like, you get me fully remote. I don't want to deal with anybody. I don't want to manage anybody anymore. You just give me projects. You give me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And as long as I get the projects done, that's all that should matter. And they're like, done. I was like,
Wow.
well,
That
Very
easy.
flexible,
I
I
was
guess,
like,
huh?
oh, I'll make it work. Because it's either that or I retire. Like, you know, it's either you give me that or I retire and I just leave. But that's the thing. And so for me, it's like, again, it works with my schedule where I can do it for an hour of my day. And I'm very efficient with how I work. So an hours of work is like 4 hours of work. You know, I could get my stuff done and, hey, all right, I still get my health benefits or whatever. or whatever, you know, but I'm on leave, so I don't go back. And
why do you go on leave?
so the reason I went on leave is on January of 2023. And this is, we're going to get into this, you know, so January of 2023, I have a very good friend. His name is Mike Levy. On Instagram, he's known as Knockout Lights. Knockout Lights is really big in the 2A community, right? And I've learned from him, and I was also an instructor with him. We would train officers every month. And so he gave me a skill that may not be a high income skill, but it's a life-saving skill.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's invaluable to me, you know? And so he's always been a friend. I've known him for years. And his house, we had a lot of rains here in SoCal.
A lot of rain.
A lot of
flooding.
rain and a lot of flooding. And unfortunately for him, part of his backyard is a river. Well, that river got redirected. It got overfilled and flooded, and it wiped away all of his assets. He had tanks, Humvees, helicopters. He had a Cobra helicopter, and he had a range and organic crops. And that's how he made his money, organic crops in his range. When you take away that person's income, and there's no insurance because it's in a flood zone, right? So then overnight, he lost everything.
Wow.
I was there the first day after the flood, and I said, I got you, bro. I'm going to help you get back into your house. That was the promise I made to him.
I remember seeing it too. You were on it right away on social media.
I was on it right away. And since then, about 3 to 4 months after, we've raised him north of $300,000.
That's awesome.
Paid for the house, everything. House, fuel, equipment, what you name it. And, you know, a little savings or whatever. And it all came, 100% of the proceeds came from the business and through signups. And I don't know, again, because I have all these other streams, I don't know many business owners that can be like, I'm going to give you 100% of my proceeds for 4 months. Because a lot of people that own a business, they have to eat off of that.
Or they just wouldn't do that.
Or they just wouldn't do that.
That's not the type of people they are.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, that's where I did it. But, you know, since being away, I'm just like, I'm probably going to be done, dude. Like, I love Amgen because we help a lot of people with cancer and Alzheimer's, and I had a grandma die from Alzheimer's, and so there's like a sentimental value there to me. But I think it's that time in my life where I'm at a stage where I have other bigger things that are waiting.
That's awesome. And like for you, I think even when you went back or, you know, stayed, it probably wasn't fully about the money.
It's never been about the money. Like, I could have left Amgen like 4 years ago, you know, like I have a wealth manager, and I was like, dude, I asked him, I was like, dude, could I quit? I want to be smart with my money because we grew up without having money.
Me too, dude.
We grew up without having money. And so I never want to put myself, a lot of people think like now, but it's like, what about 20 or 30 years from now? Like, I'm young, I'm only 33. So like, what about 30 years from now or 40 years from now or 50 years from now? What about my kids' kids', right? Generational wealth. And so I'm like, could I afford from a generational net worth perspective to let go of this 9 to 5 that's alleviating other cost? And he's like, dude, you could have left fucking 5 years ago. And I was like, all right, that's all I needed to hear. You know?
And I love how you mentioned generational wealth. Like, you're not looking at it as just, you know, get rich and go buy Lambo right now.
No.
I personally, I have a whole different take on cars and stuff. For my Lamborghini,
it's an investment.
It was an investment.
It
networked me crazy. I made that car back. You know, it's like it was probably tenfold right now. I was like, it's like probably really like 7 or 8fold.
Yeah.
But like I've met the the craziest network of people.
Yep.
Some of my best real estate connections. Like we were talking about, invested $1 million with one of my good buddies I met because of the Lamborghini.
Yep.
You know, tax write off.
100%, dude.
Team Bulls decked out on it.
Yeah, dude, it's an investment.
But long story short, a lot of people who come into money, right?
Yeah, they want to go spend.
They want to go spend, you know, buy the Lambo, buy all the clothes, buy all the watches, you know, go to the clubs, whatever, to impress other people. And what they don't realize, like, we got to think of ourselves like we're playing in the NBA, right? You have 5, 10, just hypothetically speaking, amazing years of trading. Like, you kill it. Like, your job is not to go spend all that money. Your job is to save it and make it go work for you.
Yes.
And, you know, I think that's something you've done amazing. Like, I don't see you with, unless you have like a hidden Lamborghini and a bunch of crazy shit in the closet I haven't seen.
That is good too. Something that really keeps me humble in my spending and everything like that in my budgeting, I focus on the cash flow, right? Jdun said earlier, focus on buying income, meaning buying assets that push off a cash flow. If you buy a rental property, you're getting income every month from that property. So, right, in his position, does he want to buy a Lambo with the cash that he just made? Or does he want to go buy a $400,000 house that kicks off, 10% per year, that kicks off $40,000 a year? Five cap would be more reasonable. It kicks off 20 grand a year. So now he's made $20,000 a year for life instead of spending $400,000 on a car. So that's what you mean by collecting assets. So collecting assets and just using cash flow to live a life of luxury, live a life that you really want to, only on the cash flow. Don't spend the money right when you get it. That is a great lesson and one that I think about constantly.
You live pretty simple and save and do it right.
Yeah, man. I live a very simple. I will say, like, I've always been against like flash, but there is value to it as well. Like if you look at it from the right perspective, like a Rolex watch, I've always been against it, but now I'm kind of shifting where I may get one. I don't know, but
a Rolly.
I don't know, because it's also too the network potential that comes out of it.
Seriously.
And for me, I've been fortunate to go to events and meet, like, for me, I don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room. So when I go, and I'm also a hermit. So like I never leave the house, dude. Like,
me too, introvert gang.
Yeah.
As we're sitting here chopping it up on a podcast, we're both like, yeah, we really don't like people.
Yeah, we really don't, dude. Like it's crazy.
Nice.
But, there is a thing though, as you start to level up in life, you do need certain networks and connections, because it's not so much of what you know at a certain stage, it's also who you know that can open doors, right?
Yes.
And you can't talk to some of these people without having what I call like the introductory basics, right? Where it's like a Rolex, for example, right? If you show up in Rolly and you go to this, millionaire event, other people are going to notice it.
Dude, every time, bro, like what you're saying, like I pull up, for example, like this is a date, right?
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've met someone at a nice dinner or a nice event. They're like, damn, nice watch. Is that a date? Like they instantly know.
They instantly
know. They instantly know. Like they want to talk to you. Like they want to introduce themselves.
Yeah. And then the next thing you know, you find out that, hey, this person has 20 of them and this person has $100 million in real estate. And then you're like, hey, I'm doing real estate. I only have a couple mil in real estate, but I'm trying to get to your level. And now you just made a connection.
Wow.
And so
super
for
smart.
me, I wouldn't like post it on social maybe, but I would use it as a potential where someone
just have personal relationships and connections.
Because you never know. That's the other thing too. A lot of people are against like the 9 to 5 or college. I use college as networking because you'll never know who you meet or whatever.
Yep.
Right.
And that's all life is. You'll never know who
school.
you meet, and it just takes that one person in your life to like open so many doors for you.
And you just had a story on Instagram the other night where you tagged like me, Rake, Umar, and one of your buddies, Usman, and like, or however you say it. And you mentioned how like, you shouldn't quit your 9 to 5 to trade.
No.
Like, and I want to go into that a little bit. Like, I feel like on every podcast we talk about this, but it's just so damn important. I want to reiterate it. Like, you see all these people that post the ads. Like there's this one that I've seen that just drives me crazy. I'm just like, this guy is an idiot. It's like, the guy's like, buy my course, and if you don't quit your 9 to 5 in the next 60 days, full refund. I'm like, bro, people are buying this shit, dude.
Wow.
Like,
yeah,
what?
I've seen that.
It is totally insane. Like, if you guys ever see something like that, like that should be red flag.
Run.
Right away.
Do not buy.
Right away, dude. And
Yeah.
again, I'm a very traditional, like linear kind of thing, but again, you use those things to leverage other stuff. So don't stop at the 9 to 5. Don't stop at being a trader. Don't stop at being an investor. There's a whole lot more to the money game. And when you really learn it, it goes so in depth. I mean, we talk about trust and 529 plans or forward. It goes super in depth, right? Life insurance, right? But going to the 9 to 5, a lot of people, and it had to do. I think a lot of it had to do with like the 2019 stuff, right? And a lot of people are home and stuff, and they're seeing what life could be like if they're home, and so they're like, "Oh, I want more time with my kids. I want stuff." However, it's just like traders. Oh, I want to make $1,000. You got to put the time in though. Still, you got to put the time in. You got to earn your stripes, bro. And
you want to make $1,000, you also got to keep the $1,000.
you also got to keep the 1,000. It's like, I want to make. People are like, if I had $100,000 account, I would be making a ton of money. It's like, no, bro. If you can't manage 1,000, you can't manage 100. You know. But to the 9 to 5, again, if you quit it and just try to do the trading thing, and I'm all for people's dreams of, hey, I want to be a trader. Cool, man. You can get there. However, you got to prove that you can. You got to prove that you can do it. You got to prove that you can do it consistently for years, not just a couple months, bro. You got to do it consistently for years, and in an up market and in a down market, to show that you know what you're doing. Because there's a lot of people in 2020 that were like, I am a guru trader. Yep. I don't hear about any of them anymore. They're gone. They're gone. They got wiped out.
That was the biggest thing about 2020. Seriously, I started trading 6 months ago, but I started investing the fall of 2019, before all the craziness in 2020. And it seems like a lot of people trading and investing in 2020 were like, oh yeah, I got this. I know the game. Me included, I said, oh yeah, I understand investing. I know the game. I can be in these small caps. I can do all this crazy stuff because literally everything was going up in value. That has a lot to do with the macroeconomics, right? Another thing that we talk about on the channel, not just trading, but I'm really interested in the macro, right? Following the macroeconomics. And in 2020, they dropped rates to 0. They were putting a bunch of quantitative easing money, free money into the market that was literally pumping up the entire stock market. And then 2021 was some of the same. And then at the beginning of 2022, it all came crashing down. And boy, oh boy, you actually figured out, oh, I'm not that good of an investor. Oh, a lot of that was just time and place. Oh, I've actually got to be a lot more diligent about how I'm investing my money. So that was a great lesson for me, being a new investor, being just started in fall 2019, going through a full cycle, and I still haven't gone through a full cycle. Economic cycle, which is 5 to 10 to 20 years of experience in knowing firsthand the market and how it treats you. But that was a rude awakening for me because I really thought, wow, I bought EPD, Enterprise Product Partners, LP, right after the crash in the pandemic at I think it was $15 a share or something. Don't quote me on the numbers. But yeah, and it freaking skyrocketed $25. And I'm like, wow, I just made $10 a share on this. That was crazy. It wasn't luck. It was luck. It wasn't skill. It was just time and place in the market. That's another thing to consider.
And now we're talking about consistency and starting.
Yeah.
We actually have similar opinions on this, but a little differing. I want to have a little talk and friendly debate. You basically make it a requirement for your students to trade in a simulator, correct?
I make it a
Paper
very
trading.
strong, highly suggestion for them to start in a simulator. Absolutely.
And do you have any specifications, any time limits? Tell us about why you tell your students that, what you tell them, and what your suggestion is for anyone listening to this and what they should do with a simulator.
Sure. So my thing is when I'm trying to use another analogy because I don't want to use the other analogy that I was going to use, but for the analogy, let's talk about a tool, right? Whether it's a life-saving tool or even like a drill, okay? If I put a drill in your hand and you've never done it, and I say, hey, go do this, and you drill into your hand, right? Just being super, super just way out there, right? Whereas if I gave you a drill without a butt on it and showed you, hey, when you are using this drill, this is how it works and this is all the stuff, and you get familiar with your tool, then you start to build confidence. And now when we take it live, you feel more confident. You start off slow. So my concepts, when I teach people, I use the concepts crawl, walk, jog, run. A lot of people use crawl, walk, run. I use crawl, walk, jog, run.
Crawl, walk, jog, run.
Really,
and crawling,
inch it
get
up.
educated. So whether that's books or some type of mentorship or even
Reading books. I'm
whatever,
definitely going
right?
to read Rich
Get
Dad
your
Poor Dad
education,
again.
know what it is that you're doing. Walking is the simulator. And walking, the only premise is not to stay in there for 3 months to show that you're consistent. The only premise of the simulator is so you understand the tool that you're using, understand the platform by which you're trading. So whether it's Thinkorswim, Webull, whatever, you need to get familiar how to place a trade, how to draw in your trend lines, how to, I've had so many students when they're in the simulator think that they're buying puts and instead buy calls.
Oh my gosh, so many.
So many.
Even in the real market too.
In real market, and so
I've literally done that before where I'm paper trading and I accidentally buy when I mean to sell, or I accidentally sell when I mean to buy. And literally just the dumbest decision making. But hey, I'm paper trading and I'm totally new to the whole concept of everything. I don't know what I'm doing. It's good that I wasn't doing that for real. I'm very glad.
You need to get those cobwebs out. And again, that becomes your familiarity with the tool. And now that you become, and the consistency, I don't really care about. I just want you to become familiar and feel confident with utilizing that platform. And that should only take, in my personal opinion, no longer than a month. No longer than a month. Because then comes the jogging step. Because in the simulator, the one component that does not stay there is your mental. There's so many people that use, thousands of dollars, or they're not, if they lose, they don't really care. But in reality, that stuff matters. And so there is an emotional subconsciously that is not there. Where now when we take it real, regardless of whether it's $100 or $1,000, you are going to have an emotional tie to it because it is your hard-earned money.
Yep.
So that's where the walking step comes in. So crawl, that should take maybe 1 to 2 months. Get educated, right? If you're doing it with the right mentor, right? Some people, it takes them 3 months because they're a little bit slower, right? The walking step simulator, maybe a month, right? So maybe 2 months max right there, right? If people are efficient with it. The jogging step, people sometimes take a little longer to get there. Now, because they're not emotionally there yet. But the whole purpose and premise of the jogging step, use a small amount of your account. So if I had, a $5,000 account, my jog should be only using 100 to 200.
Yep.
Where if I lose
tiny, one contract at a time.
One contract, 1 or 2 contracts, right? Where if I lose $200, is that going to cause a divorce between me and my spouse? Is that my child's savings? Is that my kid's college tuition? Which I've had a lady lose her entire kid's Stanford college tuition.
That's
hundreds
crazy.
of thousands of dollars within 2 weeks. And I'll talk about that story.
Wow.
And
I've seen some crazy shit too.
And
That's
I'm
crazy.
just like,
Wow,
how
dude.
could you ever do that? Where they just simply went from not even crawling. They just went into, I'm going to run. And it's like, how can you do that?
Wow.
That's
the thing. And you could get, the thing is, you don't want to be overly emotional when you're trading. Obviously, you don't want to be reckless in trading on emotion. You want to be skilled and hard-lined. But you also don't want to be, too unemotional, where you're not affected by losses at all. Now, a good grounding step for me is to think of, or maybe even physically go do this. Go and say, okay, I'm going to go to the bank and I'm going to withdraw an amount of money and hold it in my hand. And I'm going to feel what this amount of money feels like. And I'm going to think about what this amount of money can do for me. So for instance, I could go to the bank. Maybe I say I make $1,000 in one day trading. I can go to the bank. I can withdraw $1,000, hold that in my hands and think, oh my God, I made this in a single day trading. I've got to protect this with my life. So risk management is number one. And that is a great tip that I've used to really ground myself and feel the amount of money that I'm dealing with. Not big like Andrew's dealing with, but the small amount that I'm dealing with, $1,000 is seriously a lot. So to go to the bank, take the $1,000 out, literally hold those Benjamins in my hand and say, wow, this is a lot. What could I do with this money? That's, XYZ. what I could do with this money. So that kind of makes you want to protect your hard-earned money a little bit more, especially if you're also working a 9 to 5 and that $1,000 say equates to a week of labor for you working your job or whatever.
So that's where we're walking. And then once you show that you could be consistent there, then it's just a matter of scalability.
How fast you run.
How fast you can ramp up.
And the part where I said we agree but disagree is I'm with you. Everyone needs to know how to use their trading platform. No, you know,
100%.
ifs, ands, or buts about it. My only problem with paper trading with simulators is what you just said, is when people are killing at paper trading.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Andrew, I made 500,000 paper trading. Like I'm so good at this. Like I'm ready to just run, and they forget that jogging step, and they go into real money, and they're like, I'm sure you've had people say this too. Like, you know, I was killing at paper trading.
Yeah.
In my first day real trading, I got crushed. In my first week real trading, I got crushed. So
Emotion.
that's where I'm like, paper trading, sure, fine, but make sure you're like, for one, you're respecting what you're doing, and for two, when you come into real money, you start very, 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 very,
Very small,
small, and you earn your position size.
It's like poker, right? Poker, I love to play Texas Hold'em. I've literally been playing since I was 6 years old. Video poker, dial-up internet poker, but some real games too. And I still hold poker games here and then. But same thing with poker. What makes poker competitive? What actually makes the stakes up in poker? It's the money that you're playing with. See, if you're playing a game of poker for no chips, or say the chips are fake, it's imaginary money, you don't really care. You can say, oh, you know what, I'm just going to go all in on this hand because I want to try to bluff that guy. But it's a lot different than saying, okay, I'm at a $100,000 table and I'm going all in with my 100 grand. I'm going to bluff just to mess with this guy and just to try it out. The stakes are just not there when you're playing with fake money, which is why in poker, it's actually very, I think, psychologically difficult to play a game of poker realistically, following the game theory, if you're playing without any money on the table at all. Now, I play just like $10 cash games, Texas Hold'em, when I do my poker nights. But still, you know, the premise does apply, because I instantly ground myself, what I was just saying earlier, I ground myself and say, okay, this $10, I cannot lose this. I cannot lose this $10. So I actually want to put more risk management in mind. So one tip, I mean, when you're paper trading, don't just go, you know, you can paper trade unlimited times. So maybe sometimes, or a separate account, you could do a YOLO paper trading. Hey, I want to figure out this. I want to try to bet on Tesla. I want to, you know, buy calls or puts. I don't know if you could do options on paper trading, but hey, I just want to go, you know, balls to the wall and go crazy paper trading. Okay, well, that's good, but that's pretty much more like entertainment. Now, I would recommend opening a trading account where you're actually, as much as you can, will yourself to believe that that is actually real money. Because your decision making, just watch, look at your decision making, it's going to be a lot different.
Have to earn your position size.
Yep. 100%.
So that's like my biggest thing.
Yeah.
With that whole deal.
Yep. I agree 100%. 100%.
So I'm curious, before we get off topic, I want to hear that Stanford story, because I think a lot of people can benefit from it. No one wants to hear that someone lost their kid's college tuition. No one wants to hear someone lost the house. I've personally heard both those things.
Yes, dude.
And similar, you know, divorces,
God.
debt, taking out loans.
Dude, please, for the love of everything that's trading, never, ever, 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 ever take a loan out.
Ever a few more times.
Yeah, ever a few more times. Ever take a loan out to trade.
So that the reality is these things happen. And so I think by hearing, you know, a horror story like this can help a lot of people. Yeah.
So this person, just like a lot of everyone, they find us on social, right? And this was after my $1.67 million day. And she hits me up and she's like, I have my kid's college tuition. I was like, no, don't do that, because my rule for trading is the money you use for it should be 100% expendable. Meaning, if you lost it, it doesn't pay for your mortgage, your food, your kids. It's extra money. That's what expendable means. It's extra, where you can lose it and you're fine. She didn't listen there. And I was like, well, go through the steps, get educated, do this stuff. Didn't listen. Went into the live trading. First day, she made 30 racks. And
that was probably the worst thing that could have happened for her.
Dude, it was the absolute worst.
The worst.
It was the worst thing because what happened was, oh my God, I can do this.
Yep. The worst thing that can happen to a new trader is making a lot of money.
And so she made 30 racks the first day. And I messaging her and I'm like, you are going to lose your money. Like, I need you to listen to me, please. And so the second day, she made 50 racks.
Oh no.
Get out.
But oh no.
Get out.
And so
get out. You made like, 80 grand
at this
in 2
point,
days.
She's on a high.
And you don't know how to trade,
I'm telling
so
her
get out.
Is just going in one ear out the other. Because to her, she's like, I'm a risk taker. That was her thing. I'm a risk taker. I know I'm fine.
Wow.
She doubled up her account.
Oh my God.
By the end of the week.
What'd she start with? Do you remember?
I think it was 125. So she was up a quarter mil.
And she didn't walk away?
She didn't walk away.
Oh,
and so she was up a quarter mil.
Awesome.
By Wednesday, the following week, she lost it all.
Whole quarter mil gone.
All gone within 3 days.
Wow, because you're winning and you're winning and you're
all
winning
gone.
and you're thinking,
I
can do
course,
this.
And I'm sure
and
you
you end up like overextending yourself,
crying,
losing.
I lost all my money.
Wow.
What do I do? And I'm like, what do you want me to do? Give you money for your negligence? Like, no, I'm not going to do that. And so I'm a very blunt person too. And so like, I didn't mean to kick somebody while they're down, but I also am real. And so I was like, let me open up because I can track everybody's education progression. And so I open up her education progression. I'm like, you haven't even watched one video.
Wow.
Especially, and the very first video is risk management. And I'm like, you didn't watch one video. You didn't listen to one thing that I told you. Especially the number one rule of the money you're using should be 100% expendable. And you lost it all. And she's an example of people that, everybody can trade, but not everybody should.
Yep. Everyone has the ability to make it as a trader, but not everyone will.
Exactly.
And that's something we both preach. Like, if you want it bad enough, there's no obstacle. You can find it doesn't identify you by religion, by race, by educational background. Nothing. Yeah, and we're both prime examples of going from nothing to making something. So it works. You just got to be dedicated and do it right. That's just so crazy. And it's like, I try to tell people all the time, like, even us, we have different risk tolerances. Like, you're balling this year, 1.7 million. For myself and all my other businesses, like, at 615K, it's like 618 now or something, whatever it is. Like, like I've been honestly putting the brakes on a lot. Like the last 2 days, I haven't taken a single trade, being very selective. Mm-hmm. But for me, I'm like, you know what? Like, I know when to go heavy and I know when to not go. And like the problem, and obviously you do too, but like the problem with a lot of people is like, they just want more and more and more and more and more. And like, for that girl that just started, she was up 125 grand, 100% in a year. Like
within a week.
Just stop.
Just
stop. You like, just stop. Evaluate.
So you won the game.
At least withdraw that profit. There. At a very minimum, withdraw it so you're back to where you started. So even if you lose all that money, which if you don't know what you're doing, you will. Having more money does not make you a better trader, as we'll both tell people.
Yeah.
You can blow 1,000, or you can blow 100,000, or you can blow $1 million.
Yeah.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. And I think you touched on something right there, where the day that we trade is not a result of what happens the following day. Every day is different. So like the same, going back to big days that we've had, there are days where I have a big day. The following day, I only walk away with maybe $2,000. And people are like, wait, why? And I'm like, because that's all the market gave me today. I'm not trying to force it. Where other people, they make 10 G's one day and they're trying to make the same 10 G's the next day. And like, bro, you cannot do that. You got to take what the market gives you.
And some advice that has helped me is like, whenever I have a big day, like when I had my biggest day ever, it was like $89,000. It's like sized way down after. I always size way down after if I have a huge day.
Yeah.
If I had a $1.67 million day, you might not see me for a few weeks. We'll see. Maybe
like
I might show up to just like say what's up and be like, get to the gym, get ripped, but like that's about it. But the point I'm making is, obviously you have experience. You can come back and you can keep killing it. Like, I have a lot of experience. I can come back, keep killing it. But if you get like that big loss or win, and you feel yourself emotional the next trading day,
you got to just step away.
You got to stop. You got to, or at a minimum, size like massively down.
Right. Do you have a routine that you do in the morning?
Every day, same thing, bro.
What do you do?
Wake up, like 5 to I don't have an alarm. I have
okay. My body naturally affects.
I lied. I have a 5:45 alarm.
Okay.
If I don't wake up before, which I almost always wake up
Okay.
5 to 5:30. Okay, get up, shower, breathe, call it meditate, whatever. I just breathe for like 5 minutes, just get my stuff going. Brush teeth, whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Come down here, and I have this little stupid routine that I do. I like it. I go. I kind of like stretch out. I do like my high knees.
Yep.
My butt kicks.
Yep.
I do like
Get the
20.
blood flowing.
I do like 25 jumping jacks. I get my blood flowing
Get
every
the blood
morning.
flowing. Yep.
Right. Get my water. Start with 20 ounces of water every single day.
Yep.
Then come to my office, and I sit there. And every single morning, like I'll honestly do like a little like I don't know what to call it. But I diagnose myself. I'm like, how am I feeling today? Am I anxious? Do I have any big events? Is it my birthday? Is it Christmas coming up? Like, is it my grandma's birthday? Like, do I have anything that I cannot like fuck up for and like have to like focus on? Job interview for a lot of people,
Right.
big meetings, whatever it is. And so I identify those things. Like, is there anything that might be stressing me out? Whatever it is, do the whole pre-market thing, talk to the squad, whatever, look at stocks pre-market. But my biggest thing is diagnosing my psychology.
Yep.
Every single day, I'm like, okay, how am I feeling? Am I in the right mindset to put on risks today? If I'm not, if I slept like shit, I got a baby coming, so I'm sure there's gonna be some
there's gonna be some less sleep right there, dude.
Some less sleep and therefore less position size.
Yep.
Am I feeling okay? Is my mental good? And if all those things check off, and the market presents itself in a way that we have risk reward there, I'll put on risk. But if not, if I don't trade for a day, I don't care. The market's not going away. I don't give a fuck.
Bro, I love that. And that's another thing.
You don't have to trade every day.
Two things I want to touch on there was,
that's great.
We both have a routine in the morning. There's a lot of traders that I have met over the years, especially like first-time students. They get up, roll out of bed, and then they put their laptop on.
5 minutes before market open.
5 minutes before market
Let's
open.
run it.
And they think they're going to be successful doing that. I'm like, you have a routine. And so we have a very similar routine.
Yeah, what's yours? Let's hear it.
So I get up in the morning, do the whole 9 hours, brush my teeth, everything, right? Go downstairs, get a workout in. Quick, like, hit workout, 20 to 30 minutes.
Nice.
Like, just get, like, a full body, just sweat. I need to be sweating.
You want to sweat before you trade
I want
every
to
day?
sweat before I trade. I need to sweat. And so I'll get up at 5, same thing, which is very, I thought it was funny. It's like, we both get up at 5. I get up at 5, and I'm on West Coast, so the market starts at 6:30. So I get up at 5 in the morning, get my sweat in. I'm usually done by 5:30, maybe 5:45 max if I'm like really feeling it.
Yeah.
Get it in, and then I take a cold shower.
Cold shower, love that.
Just super cold, just like whatever. I make sure I don't eat, and I make sure I stop eating at a certain time the night before.
Do you intermittent fast?
I try to have my first meal by like 11.
Nice. I intermittent fast every day too. That's why I ask. I don't do the full 16 every day, but like usually 12 to 14.
Dude, I was 210 in the beginning of January. I'm down to like 184 right now.
That's awesome.
Dude, I've lost like 20 pounds.
Wow.
That's
killer, bro.
Dude, but a lot of it's been intermittent fasting, working out, and just eating healthier, right?
Yep. That's all you need.
And it's actually improved the trading too, which is crazy.
You're focused.
You're focused, right? So I get my blood flow going. I get my cold shower in.
True wealth
and then
is
right
health.
before I start, not to get religious, I say a little prayer, right? I
Yep.
just like put myself
big
like a
believer
little
in God
Zen,
too.
And I'm grateful for another day. I'm grateful for another opportunity. And then I always reflect. It's just a mental thing that I do. I always reflect on when I started.
I like that.
I always reflect on what I started and
love
remembering
that,
my
actually.
why for why I'm doing it. And it grounds me. It like immediately grounds me. And then I do my pre-market stuff and I'm ready to go before the market's ready. And it puts me, I'm at ease at this point. Everything's already set up. Everything's good to go. And I just trade. And whatever is there, I take it and I'm good. And that ends up being it. And to your point, I wake up some days when I don't get the workout in or I don't have time to do my Zen or whatever. And those are days I'll still do the live, but I won't trade because I'm not in a good mental spot or I'm sick or whatever. And a lot of people, it's so funny because on my lives, I was trying to do every single day, Monday through Friday. And I do them on maybe, there may be some weeks I only do 3. Maybe some weeks I do bare bones 2. Like I try to at least do 1, but at least 2, excuse me. And what people think are like, bro, I need to be trading every day. It's like, no.
Nope. Market's not going anywhere.
Bro, Umar, 60 days, he made 7 figures.
A lot of money, millions.
Yeah.
Over $1 million.
Over $1 million, right? 60 days. 60 days of trading. That's not even a fourth of the trade. That's it. That is a fourth, right?
A fourth, exactly.
Exactly.
A little less,
a little
actually.
less, right? So it's like you don't need to trade all 252 days. Trade the days where you feel good, that you're ready, that have your setup and it looks great, and just focus on those quality. It's quality over quantity.
And that's something that I think only you can get through experience. Like you can tell a trader that 100 times, just like you can tell, just like you tell your students, like, hey, don't fuck around and play earnings.
Yeah.
You'll get smoked.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've ever met someone that like is like, okay, you know what? You're right. Like they always go and try an earnings lotto.
Yeah.
They realize soon after,
CPI,
you know,
FOMC
what
days.
Vega is, what implied volatility crush is.
Yeah.
And then they learn like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done this. I just lost $800, $1,000.
Yeah.
But they don't get that until they see it. It's like eventually as traders go, and hopefully you guys will listen to this and you guys just learn like, you know, it's not about how many trades you put on, it's about the quality. You know, quality over quantity, the, you know, old beautiful phrase.
All the quality, just like, you know, quality of friendships, right? Like as I went through the years, my circle is extremely small. Right? I consider you part of my circle, right? And what you realize is quality of people and who's within your network, because what the saying is, you're the sum of your 5 closest friends.
Yep.
And those 5 friends should be at the same, or if not above you, to continue to challenge and grow you, right? And so it's the same thing with trading. You realize, and this is what I tell traders too, the more trades you take in a day doesn't necessarily mean the more money you're gonna make. The longer you're in the trade or within the day doesn't necessarily mean the more money you're gonna make.
Oh gosh, no.
Does not gonna mean. I mean, you could be there from 6:30 to 1. At that point, it's a job. You might as well, and you may lose money. You might as well just go work at In-N-Out and make the $300, bro. Like, you're defeating the purpose and the premise of what trading should be, which is to help provide freedom and make money within a shorter amount of time.
Yeah, and that's what another thing too is. There's so many traders that think like, I need to sit here all day and stare at the screens.
No.
You trade the first hour, maybe 2 max.
Maybe 2
Me
max.
too.
Even the day that well, not the $1.67 million, but yesterday when
not the $1.6 million day, the $200K day.
Yeah.
I can get them mixed up.
Yeah, but yesterday,
fucker.
Awesome. But yesterday when I made over 250, part of that day I went on a 3-mile walk with my wife and son. I went away from my laptop.
That's
and
crazy.
I didn't look at my charts. All I did though is when I am away, I set price alerts. And this way it's like, hey, if it drops and I'm on a walk, I could just simply get on my phone and close out my position.
Easy,
right? Where it's like, hey, I can now just go and enjoy my day. And that's what trading should be. And that's why we say you should trade to then not trade, because eventually you want to have enough money to grow where that money's growing passive, where it's like, I don't even need to actively trade today. I have my money growing in some account that is compounding year after year.
That's exactly how I feel, man. Like, and it's just quality over quantity over and over again. Like, you're going to find over your years of doing this, hopefully, and you guys are all still trading 2, 3, 4, 5, years from now, and you guys are, all finding your edge and, all finding ways to have your money work for you. And you realize that your quality setups are making you more than, a good phrase I like is 4 quarters over 100 pennies.
100%.
Right? 4 quarters, you're going to choose that every single time over having 100 pennies that you're going to lose. And
dude, I love that phrase.
Are going to, make a mess. Like,
dude, that's
every
great.
time.
Yeah, no.
Every time.
Every time.
And it goes with, friendships you have, trades, whatever it is. Always 4 quarters.
Dude, I love that. That's cool.
So shifting gears a little bit, I'm curious, what's next for Andrew, Stock Market Wolf? What's next in your trading? And also 2-part question. What do you think the next step for many traders are that are just on that edge and are how young Andrew was, looking to make that next leg up in their trading and become consistent?
Yeah.
2-part question.
2-part questions. So the first part is what's next for me. So for me, I want, for the longest time, I stopped doing stuff for free per se, but I realized there's so much knowledge to give, so I'm starting to do YouTube again and starting to give out more free content, which came through your advice and other people's advice, and it's important. And I'm at a stage where, again, I don't need the memberships, right? So it's nice to have because it's another stream of income, but at this point, someone could watch free stuff, and if they take it and it helps them in some way, hey, it helps them. you know, and that's how I got to look at it. And so I'm trying to do more of that. But my ultimate goal is within the next 5, I'll give myself 7. I'll put it by myself right in the middle. Within the next 7 years, I want to be done with everything. Just completely done. And you're only going to hear from me from the people that have my number. And
I'll let you guys know how he's doing.
yeah. You'll let me know how he's doing. And I want to have all my investments working for me, and mainly focus a lot on real estate and having my investment account continue to compound and grow.
That's awesome.
And just enjoy, you know, within the next 7 years, my youngest will be 9. He'll be 9. The older ones would be older. Like Tay would be, you know, older. He's 13 right now. He'll be 20. The 5-year-old would be 12, 13. So they'll be much older where I can have more time with the wife and just maybe travel, leave them with the grandparents, and just enjoy the fruit of the labor, you know, is what I call it, right? And
enjoy the fruit of the labor.
Enjoy the fruit of the
goal.
labor.
That's the goal.
And really just zen out. My view is having a piece of land with a nice lake view and, you know, maybe some farm animals or something, right? And, you know, just hang out and chill and have multiple properties make me passive income.
That's amazing. And that's the motto of my channel, literally my YouTube channel. I've wanted to be a YouTuber ever since I was 13 years old. And with this channel, I really love doing it. So I really love day trading. I really love doing this YouTube channel. The premise of this channel is trade today, explore tomorrow. I want to trade today so that I can make my money, make my income. Well, first I have to learn first, and then secondly make my money, and then thirdly I can go out and explore the world, vacation, buy my streams of incomes like my rental properties, like my Airbnbs, and then I can go explore. I can go have fun with my life. That's the dream, and that's the eventual goal of the channel.
Provides for our food. And those investments that I make continue to grow and compound. And I teach my 13-year-old. My 13-year-old knows how to trade.
You teaching him how to trade?
He knows how to trade. And
That's
so
awesome.
I gave him an
Dad of the
incentive.
year.
Generational wealth, right? And part of generational wealth is not just leaving the assets behind, the money behind. You also got to leave the knowledge behind.
Yes.
Yes.
And especially in today's world, not having an online skill, whether it's trading or coding or affiliate something, you're going to be left behind. And so I'm teaching him because during his time, it's going to be even harder. And he needs to be able to manage the assets.
It's just getting harder and harder every year.
So he learns.
That's what Charlie Munger says too.
For him, but
Charlie Munger says it's going to get harder and harder.
Being in a spot where it's like, I know I'm good. I know my wife is good. I know my kids are good, and I know that their kids is kids. As long as they continue to pass down this knowledge, are going to be good. And I feel like there's always one person in the family that opens the door for the generational wealth. And for me, I feel like I'm it.
That's you. It is you.
You know,
that's awesome.
And so I feel like I have a huge responsibility. The next piece, aside from just focusing on myself, is doing bigger things for others. Like I really want to start some type of thing for single parents, because I was a single parent, where a lot of single parents don't get help like I did. I had my parents helping me. You know, I had a place to stay. I had them watch the kid when I was going to school and stuff. A lot of people don't have that, so they'll never get that opportunity to put in that work. I want to be that light for them, helping people with cancer or whatever. Ultimately, it's just starting a bunch of charities and foundations and places for free to give people a sense of life.
That's awesome.
You know, yeah, that's my ultimate end goal.
That's the goal.
It's incredible. It's so much value to people, and it's
make your money and then add value to
the cars and shit is cool, whatever, but like that's how you get remembered.
Yeah.
You know, that's what people are going to remember Andrew as.
Yeah.
And even like, this is nothing apples to oranges to, you know, building charities and foundations, but like even like with this podcast.
Yeah. 100%.
People were, I had a few people that were telling me, they're like, so you're just going to bring all your competition on the podcast and like, you know, just give everyone else like publicity. And it's like, for me, it's like, for one, I don't see like, you know, you as competition. I don't see anyone as competition.
No, man.
And I want to be remembered, as you do, as like, you know, Jdun helped me learn how to trade. He didn't put the ego aside, all that aside, and like brought good, valuable people like yourself on and helped me, inspired me. And so like, in the end, like, you know, the impact you make on other people and what you do for other people is much more important than
any financial gain.
100%.
100%, dude. And that's where we use that right there, bro.
That's badass.
There's a 1-for-1 correlation.
Yes, sir, baby. Zen.
Yeah. For other people, what was that question?
I guess, what do you think the next steps are for any type of trader who is, maybe they've been trading for a little bit, maybe they're just starting, but when they want to get over that hump, like when they're like young Andrew was, like, just like, I'm going to figure this out no matter what. Might be struggling, might not be. Like, what are the next steps for them?
Yeah.
Level up.
I think one, for people to level up, it's, again, surround yourself with quality people. So get yourself a quality mentor if you can, which will help alleviate time. Now, you can do it all by yourself, but it's going to cost you time and money, right? I always say you're going to owe the market a tuition. You're either going to pay somebody to help teach you and help expedite your learning curve, or you're going to learn on your own and you're going to pay the market through your losses. And I guarantee you one's going to be more expensive, 100%, which is going to be on your own. It's going to cost you time and it's going to cost you money. However, you can still learn from it. But I think where people are struggling, and if there are people struggling, where it really comes down to is tracking your trades every day. And it's not so much, hey, this is where I got in, this is where I got out, here is my P&L. It's also looking at, why did I even take this trade?
Looking at the indicators,
was this the right trade to take? And really being super critical and analytical of why you even got in, and understanding those small mistakes and improving on those small mistakes incrementally, not exponentially. It's like the COVID mentality. It's small incremental improvements every single day will add up. And when you understand the math, you understand the risk management, and you look at those small mistakes and make those little improvements, your trading will start to work out. Again, less is more, quality over quantity, and have a routine that you stick by, a plan that you stick by.
That quality over quantity totally makes sense. Look, when I first funded my full account to 25K to beat that pattern day trader rule, I thought for months, 5 months, hey, I want to get there. I want to get to that 25K so that I can start making those unlimited trades, right? What happened the first week I was making unlimited trades? I actually performed worse. I actually wasn't doing as well as I thought I'd be doing because I had unlimited opportunity. If I bought something, I could just sell it real quick. Vice versa, right? If I were under the pattern day trader rule, like when I started, I had to really feel confident about that pattern, that analysis that I was following for the trade. And if it didn't work out, I had to cut it. So the stakes were actually really high for me when I only had 3-day trades in a week to do. As soon as I turned to unlimited trades, I actually learned very quickly that, hey, the more trades I make, the ability to get in and out really quickly, that actually makes me choose things with a smaller entry criteria, and that actually is affecting the quality. The quality of my trades are going down. So that's one tip, consistency with the quality. Stay top of mind with the quality with your trades, because that's going to beat out quality. That's going to beat out quantity every single time.
And go from there. Just build on that. The foundation.
Build a core. Right?
And one of the big issues I see is that too many people don't, like, they want a strategy hop, or they don't want to take the time to really put the time in. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Experience and education.
Yeah. It's like the fat guy at the gym that sees like the guy with the abs and is like, I want the abs in 2 months. It's like,
nope,
bro, it's probably going to take you, depending on your diet and how much you exercise, it's probably going to take you a year, if not longer.
And the thing is, with the fat guy, or anyone that is overweight going to the gym, God bless, keep killing it. By the way, like if you do simple things, you eat a good diet.
Yep.
You go to the gym every day. You show up. And you work. Like, over time, you are going to see results. They're not going to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to be. You're not going to have a 6-pack in the next month or two. But over time, there's not one person. Maybe there's like one example, but like 99% of people, most people are gonna. If you show up every day, do what you need to do, put focus into it, you're gonna see results eventually.
100%.
People just want to run. They want to sprint. They don't want to. They don't want to run the marathon.
Yeah. Totally agree. It's about the process, man.
It's about the process. I think that's what's made both of us, successful in what we do, and years of experience pays.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Yeah.
one last thing before you,
All right, what do you got?
skedaddle out of here and go back to making $2 million a day. I always like to ask our guests before, if you could tell young Andrew one thing, one piece of advice, wisdom that you've gotten over the years that would have saved you some money, time, that you think our listeners here could benefit from. I know this is kind of a broad question. It can be a few things if you need it to be, but like, what would you tell your younger self that you know now and from the wisdom you've gained?
Yeah. Do you want me to go deep or simple?
It's up to you. You got the
All
stage,
right,
boss.
I'll give you guys deep. I'll give you deep first, and then I'll give you simple stuff. So if I had my younger self right here at 19, I wouldn't tell him anything.
Nothing.
I would tell him nothing because that
Thank you,
person
Andrew.
has to go through struggle.
I agree.
I can't explain the importance of struggle and how much it has led to success. Because every person's going to get pressured in life. Every person's going to come up and they're going to fall. The only thing that I'm going to tell this person is, bro, you are going to struggle. There's going to be
Amazingly said. You've always heard the classic, rich kid, poor kid work ethic thing, right? The rich kid doesn't know work ethic, has never had it hard, doesn't know, first thing about living life rough, right? Where the poor kid ends up actually beating the rich kid in the long run because they've had resilience. They've had the time and the struggles to build up. They've had a harder life. So I totally agree with Andrew here. I think you got to figure things out for yourself. And hey, it's not, rich kid, poor kid, right? It's with anybody. And even if you're not in an unfortunate situation, right? No one wants to be in an unfortunate situation, but even if you are in a great situation in life, you can still put discipline on yourself and teach yourself discipline in those ways.
be nights when you don't sleep. There's going to be days you don't eat. There's going to be times when you feel like you amount to nothing. And I was getting more. There's going to be, my goal when I was younger was I just wanted a room for me and Tay. He never had a room. And I would tell him, bro, trust me, as you go through this, your son will get that room. And I remember when I finally did get that house and Tay had his first room, I bawled.
That's awesome.
I cried like a baby. And I would tell him, just keep believing, and everybody's going to doubt you. Everybody's going to say this or that. Don't listen. Just believe in yourself, and you'll get there, bro. That's all I'll tell him.
Beautiful.
That's all I'll tell my 19-year-old self. But for you guys, for tips that I would give to start, trade out of a business LLC sooner than later. Go talk to an accountant, first of all.
Talk to a tax professional.
Talk to a tax professional, yes. But there's a lot of advantages to a business LLC versus an individual account, which I wish I would have knew sooner. Because when you take a loss, the max you can lose on an individual account, and I don't know if it's the same across every state, but the max you can write off is $3,000.
Yep, per year.
Per year. Where if I suffer $20K, where that day, that first year I lose $25K, I can write that all off. And now the following year, let's say I make 30, well, now I can offset that negative 25 to the 30, and I only get taxed on 5K, which is huge. So
Huge.
that's a very big advantage.
Especially those first few years when you may or may not get battered.
Yeah, 100%.
Tuition's getting paid.
Tuition's getting paid. So you want those. And then the other benefit is the write-offs. The write-offs for your equipment, the write-offs for your internet, the write-offs for your phone, the write-offs for your office space. There is a lot more benefit to having that LLC than not. But you have to make the decision if you're going to be committed. Because I always say, if you're only doing this as a hobby, there's no sense of doing it. But if you at least can see yourself doing this, then do it sooner than later. The other thing I would tell my younger self is, and I did it, but a lot of people don't do this. So invest early. Invest as early as possible. Right. Because you want that money to compound. And at some point, you want it automated, where it just comes out of your checking or wherever it comes out of, and you don't even look at it. It's just...
Absolutely. Invest early. I mean, it's so simple. On this channel and with me and with you guys as the viewers out there and with these dudes over here, we're doing high complex investing and trading and high complex stuff. But for the average person, for everyone, the baseline is going to be to just simply invest. Look, I'm 23 years old, and if I put $100 a week away into VTI, that'll probably compound to over $1 million in retirement for me. Easy. What's $100 a week? That's a very small sacrifice to literally become a millionaire in retirement. It is so easy. Just invest. Just invest. And VTI is a total stock market index fund. Just invest in that and you're going to be set. $100 a week, if you're starting in your 20s. Do a compound interest calculator. I love those. And, it's so simple. Compound interest, as Warren Buffett always said, is the eighth wonder of the world.
It works like paper. It just works automatic. And now you just have money growing and you don't even have to think about it. So the sooner you can do some of those things, and especially the investing, the more you are setting up your life for the future. Mm-hmm. That's what I would also tell myself is utilize these tools to think about long-term stuff. Mm-hmm. Stop focusing on wanting to buy and look cool or the Rolexes or this. The biggest flex is time.
Right.
To be able to do whatever you want with whoever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want.
The biggest flex for me is looking at Andrew and seeing that this guy is 33 years old and has at least $10 million in the bank. That's a huge flex. And he didn't go out, and spend money as soon as he got it. He made money and he said, I'm going to invest. I'm going to keep trading with this money. I'm going to keep plugging along. And eventually I'm going to be, 33 years old and I'm going to be able to retire from my efforts.
Ultimate flex.
It really is.
It really is.
At first you come into money, you think I want to buy this and that, but for example, myself, I think back and I'm like, damn, I can't remember the last time I worried about swiping my card.
Yeah,
how blessed is that?
Dude. Yeah. I went to, when I met my wife, this is like combo here, but when I met my wife, I had took her to this restaurant and same thing, dude, is for Andrew and his card doesn't go through.
Oh no.
It's our first date. And
must be fraud.
Yeah. I was just like, I was so gassed. Fast forward, we go to the same restaurant with the whole family. And I'm talking about not just my family and her family. And there is maybe 30 of us. Here's the card. Pay the bill. I didn't even look at the bill. I just now when I go to restaurants or if I go to the store, here's the card. I don't even look at the receipt. Here's the card. Just
me too.
What a luxury.
Yeah.
Here. What a luxury that is.
Yeah, I don't even wait for them to give me the check.
Amazing.
Here.
It's such an underrated. You don't even think about it.
You don't even think about it
until you do.
Until you do, dude. Yeah.
And it's incredible all the opportunity we've been given, and
yeah, man, it's
awesome,
a blessing, dude.
So that is gonna wrap us up. It has been an insane nearly 2 hours.
Dude,
wow.
It's been a long 2 hours, but I hope you guys got value. It's been jam-packed 2 hours.
If not, clean your ears and listen again because this was packed full.
Yeah,
so
man.
I want to say, as usual, thank you guys for coming. Make sure you guys slam that subscribe button below. His socials will be linked below as well.
Jdun, I've
Definitely
already
check
subscribed.
him out. This dude is a menace to market makers all around the market and loves helping see people win, as you can see. And above being a good trader, making millions is a very awesome person. So thank you so much for joining us, bro.
Appreciate you so much, man. Appreciate the love. Go Team Bull.
Yeah, go stock market wolf, baby. Wolves and bulls. They run together.
We run together, baby.
Let's go. All right, see you guys. Have a blessed night. We're out of here.
Wow, excellent, everyone. Well, Jdun and Andrew, Stock Market Wolf, I'm subscribing to them both, literally. And hey, if you're watching, I love this podcast. It was amazing. Andrew, it was enlightening to hear your story, seriously. And I hope that I brought you guys value from listening to this commentary, this reaction video to a whole podcast. All right, everyone, thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe and like button on this channel below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.